Now, I remember when I first introduced this argument to this community, a lot of them thought it was funny until they had to argue against it. A lot of them thought it was easy to defeat until they had to argue against it. And to this very day, the only argument they have against it is to argue theism. There is no atheistic argument that can be used to debunk this argument. This is 100% atheist proof. There is no way an atheist can walk in this room and debunk this evidentialist argument. And I'm going to prove it to you. So this is how the argument used to go if I actually remember how it goes. So, and one more little tidbit about this. This was never originally my argument. I have a friend on YouTube by the name of Evangelist Ken, who one of these days I'm going to bring it to this show because I think he's coming back to YouTube. Praise the Lord. But I'm going to get him on the show one day. But anyway, he is the one who originated this argument. So I want to make sure that he gets the proper credit he deserves about this. He deserves for this. I just took it and just expanded it a little bit. But anyway, this is how the argument goes. So conversation starts off like this. Is God material or is he immaterial? If you talk to an atheist, they're not going to say he's material. They're going to say he's immaterial. Well, the question is how does an immaterial God reveal himself to the material world? And the way that you go about doing it is by having your prayers answered. Now, some of you are laughing and thinking this is going to be easy. Listen to the argument. We'll see how easy you might think it is. The reason why we know that God answers our prayers is because you can get a prayer journal. Okay, we'll use this today as a prayer journal, right? This is not a real prayer journal. This is just an example that I'm using here, okay? All of that stuff is private and none of your business. You ain't gonna hear nothing about that. So anyway, so what you can do is you can actually write down the date of what you ask God for, whether it be for knowledge, wisdom, forgiveness, whatever. Let's just say you ask him to do something. You can put the date there, okay? Now, if he answers the prayer, you can also record it there too. And you can write down all of the details about how the prayer was answered. Then you can write down anything else you need to write down concerning the prayer or whatever, right? Now, everything will be recorded. You'll have the date, you'll have the time that he answered the prayer and the circumstances that was around it. You'll have
how will you ever know?
Prayer journal. And you can record this over and over and over again. Let's say, for example, you ask God for car fare to go to work. Let's say, for example, that you ask your mom, your dad, the person that you live with, whoever, and it's impossible. Nobody's got car fare for you to go to work, so you can't go that particular day. But you decide that you're going to pray, then miraculously the money shows up, and your circumstances and how it shows up. You can record all of that into your
miraculously you steal a safe.
Now, how do you go about refuting that? How do you go about arguing whether or not God was the one who actually answered that prayer? How do you go about arguing against it? There is no way that you can go about actually going against that particular argument. It is not possible. Okay? Now, again, the only other argument that I've ever had is there's a gentleman on YouTube by the name of Captain Awesome who had a can of soup and said that, no, your God didn't answer it. This can of soup answered it because of the circumstances that I put around it or whatever. But that's an argument for theism. It's not an argument for atheism. I'm still correct by what I'm saying. You understand what I'm saying? But God does answer you in three different ways. He can say yes.
Here we go.
He can say no, and he can say not now.
Just like random chance.
You're going to have to wait a period of time. All of this is supported in the Bible. We have people, for example, we have prophets praying that God doesn't send, that God doesn't let it rain, and it didn't rain, right? We have examples in the scriptures of the Apostle Paul wanting God to remove a thorn that was in his flesh, and God said no. And then there are other times where God said, you can have what you're asking for in prayer. You're just going to have to wait at a specific time when he's going to answer it. Now, the atheists claim that God does not answer prayers. Well, if you run into a Christian that has a prayer journal and can show you all of the different times that God has answered prayer, you obviously would be shown to be wrong. You can't just say, oh, God didn't answer it and then don't provide any evidence for it. You know what I mean?
The evidence is on you, buddy.
They wrote down when it happened, how it happened, the circumstances, and everything in the book, and they showed you all of the great details that happened with it.
They count the hits and not the misses.
Testimony after testimony after testimony about God answering my prayers. I have a testimony that God answers all of my prayers. How? He tells me yes, He tells me no, and he tells me not now, meaning it's probably going to happen sometime in the future.
Holy cow.
And yes, I'll get an explanation on why he'll say no or not now. I'll even get an explanation on why he says yes. Is either directly in the Word of God, or I'm sorry, is either directly in the Word of God in our Bibles, or he gives us direct revelation on how he goes about doing that. Now, the challenge for the atheist today is to come in this room to defeat, is to be able to come in this room and to show me what I just said was fallacious, filled with logical fallacies, and why I could be wrong about what it is that I'm saying. Remember now,
Honey Badger, he'll just say he answered no.
What the Bible says about prayer.
Or not now.
He's going to challenge whether or not you truly understand what is taught in here.
He wins anyway.
Because if you don't, you're going to look silly arguing against this.
Eight balls are better, actually.
Has never been defeated. Look
don't
it up
say
on
not
YouTube.
now.
Go look on Captain Awesome's channel. Go look on my channel. You can go look on Shannon Rocky's channel. You can go look on whoever's channel you want. The argument has never been defeated. The only real criticism I get from theists is the argument is too subjective. Other than that, an atheist has never been in a room with me.
The argument doesn't prove anything. If yes or no or both
why my
possibilities.
argument does not prove the existence of God.
Doesn't show anything.
Because if God isn't the one answering the prayer, then who is it? When Captain Awesome again tried to say God isn't answering your prayer, and I can take the same argument and said this bottle of water did it, okay, fine. If theism is still true, what's your point?
My point is it's random chance.
If there's no atheistic argument that can go against it at all. If there was an atheistic argument, somebody would have presented it by now.
There's nothing to go against.
About 6 years since I first about 7 or 8 years.
You have
where
no
I
claim.
first introduced the argument here on YouTube. As a matter of fact, what I could do is I can find the video and I can show everybody.
His argument is there's a God you can pray to and can say yes or no.
The video.
Can't disprove that.
And this is actually, this would be pretty cool because this video is actually quite controversial, because many of the atheists will try to use this argument to say I stole a safe or whatever. But I want people to listen to this. As a matter of fact, should I use this? I'm not going to use this one. Because I have a better one with Captain Awesome actually being in the room. Let me see if I can find it. I have the official one that I actually use. As a matter of fact, a true story about the answer prayer argument was the very first time I called the Atheist Experience, I was supposed to introduce the answer prayer argument, but God had other plans for me. He wanted me to go into the slavery issue with Matt Dillahunty. Yeah. So I never really got an opportunity to present that argument with him, with Matt Dillahunty, and he was supposed to be the very first person to get hit with this argument. So because I couldn't hit Matt Dillahunty with it, I made a YouTube video about it, and I talked about the proof that we can show that God actually answered the prayer. Now, here's the thing now. This is what atheists need to understand. You take away the prayer journal, there's no way for me to really prove to you, at least on this computer screen,
writing down he asked for something to happen is proof.
Or if he's ever done it. I can tell you a testimony, but I'm not going to be able to show you anything.
That's all your book is.
Testimony. If I go pray and I write down the date that I asking God for whatever it is I ask him for, you know what I mean? And I write down the circumstances when he tells me yes, no, or not now, and all of that good stuff. I have documentation for it.
How do you determine between no and not now?
In your business, when you
yes, I get
all of your financial or your financial transactions, you have when so-and-so came into your store and they bought this or they bought that. You have that recorded on that particular date. Next customer, next customer, et cetera.
Somebody told on me, look.
And the government would take that ledger seriously. And in the same way, if an atheist is truly looking for something concrete on an evidential level for the existence of God, again, we have our prayer journals. It's one thing.
Who is that? Shout out to Bobby
for
Steele.
You to believe that God doesn't answer prayer. It's another thing for you to say, Gman, God did not answer your prayers. Vekel, God did not answer your prayers. But that's a positive claim. And the mistake that a lot of atheists will run into is that they'll make that positive claim, but then they don't want to try to back it up. Now, I've heard several arguments against this. One of the arguments that they try to argue is, you was going to get that thing anyway.
No, I wouldn't make that argument.
That answer anyway. No, because when we're talking about prayer in the Bible, we're supposed to, in order to get our prayers answered, we're supposed to abide in Christ, and he's supposed to abide in us. when that happens, we will know what to ask for in prayer. Don't expect a Christian to go, Lord, I want 15 gold, silver bars.
Actually, he says he'll give you anything.
So I can convert into money, so I can go buy a yacht. We're not going to pray for stupid stuff like that.
You can get anything. Okay? It says right there in the Psalms.
Some people have come to my room and tried to argue that, okay, we got a person with no arm. Why don't you pray and ask God to rebuild that person's arm? At that particular point, you're going against the scripture because now you're putting God to the test.
Oh.
You know what I mean? You're not being sincere with it. You want to see a magic trick. That's what you want. So there's a lot of little
Matthew
things
doesn't
that you
make
got to
that
remember when you're talking about this issue of prayer. So the issue is this. What atheist watching this today can defeat the answer prayer argument? Now, granted, a lot of you are probably going to come in here and you're going to say a bunch of silly, stupid stuff because I know who subscribed to this YouTube channel. I don't expect anything intelligent to come out of their mouths. I don't expect them to bring anything forthcoming to this channel.
If God is unchanging, prayer can't possibly make a difference.
You know why? They hate Christians. Richard Dawkins told you guys to mock us, to ridicule us in public. What do? You go out there with that information. You violate our churches. You burn them down. You're walking into churches. You're shooting them. You're walking into schools and you're shooting people. You're vandalizing our art. You're doing a whole bunch of disrespectful stuff. I show all of that stuff in the intro here.
Yeah,
I also have a video on here where I can actually prove
not all of
that communism, that the very foundation of communism is atheism.
Wrong.
And that's what they're pushing for in the United States. So just don't come to me with that, Gman, we're going to come in and be. I know you're not going to be rational.
Jesus would have been a communist.
So let me put the link out there for those of you who want to come in here. And then I'm going to get into this my opinion part. Because I don't expect a lot of people to come in here, to be honest. I know it's a hard argument to debunk. All right. Now, mind you, John McDropout, how you doing, man? I know you was around during the days of the answer prayer argument. I know you was around. So I would like for them to try this in 2021. Especially now that they know I use presuppositionalism now. So it's going to be particularly hard, but I'm going to stick with the evidentialism thing as long as I can without going into presuppositional apologetics. Because if I do that, you're going to be in a lot of trouble and you're going to be tripping over your own words if you try me. All right? So who's going to be the lucky atheist today to debunk the answer prayer argument? Probably nobody, but I'm sure somebody will try.
Anybody wants to go in there, again, unchanging God.
That, let's say, for example, this flashlight. You arguing that this flashlight could have been the one to answer
the
prayer.
George Carr argument.
There's two things wrong with that. Number one, you're arguing for theism. You're arguing for theism when you do that. You're not making an atheistic argument. Number two, I wasn't talking to this. So why would this answer anything? Not to mention, you would be the one that claims that this can talk, this inanimate object. So the argument won't work.
Nobody's going to make that bad argument.
I got a couple of rules for people when you come into this room today. You are not allowed to come in this room and talk about certain individuals on here. The moment you do it, especially if you're trying to get a response out of me, I will remove you. The second time you do it, I'm going to boot you.
Ooh.
No warnings. Don't care. We're friends. Don't take it personal. This is just something that I got to do. I've been advised to do this, and I will do it like that. Which one of you atheists today is going to be the lucky atheist to destroy the answer prayer argument? And I personally don't believe you can do it. I know a lot of you claim that there's no evidence for God. I just gave you evidence for God. Which one of you can actually refute that evidence? I mean, being calm, waiting your turn to talk, being able to intellectually articulate yourself. You know what I mean? How many of you are going to be able to do that? And while we're waiting for some lucky atheists to try to debunk the answer prayer argument, I want to talk about my Vaughn Health, and I'm gonna bring you in here in a moment, man. Just give me a few, all right? I want to talk about my opinion on something, and then I'm gonna bring Vaughn in here and listen to his view on this because I'm very curious about this. I've heard a lot of people in my 11 years here on YouTube, and I was gonna make an individual video about this, but I figured that this is probably a good time to talk about this before I do that. I've heard a lot of people on here talk about them having high IQs, and that means that they're smarter than everybody. So you want to know what I decided to do? I decided to do a little bit of research.
Smarter than you.
A little bit on YouTube, went on Bing, and went on Google. And I started saying, well, how smart are people with let's say an IQ of 150 or 300, if that's even possible. And I started learning something here. Did you know that IQ doesn't mean that you're very smart at all?
I wouldn't go that far.
Did you know that there is a lot of intelligent people, including educators, that argue that having a high IQ does not make you intelligent?
Well, it's an intelligence quotient.
So I've been lied to by atheists for 11 years. For 11 years about IQ making you smart. No, what a high IQ will do is show people your ability to solve problems.
It's the intelligence.
But it doesn't show how intelligent you are. And think about this a minute.
Yeah,
the same people that saying that they got these high IQs, therefore they're smart, and they're saying this stuff all over the internet.
Oh, you say that.
Kurt, the amazing atheist. Everybody knows that. He changed his YouTube name to TJ Kurt, okay? Many people in the Drunken Peasants have said this to me. I've heard Steve Shives. I've heard a bunch of different people. Steve Shives, I've heard Bionic. I've heard a bunch of people in here talk about these things. Talk about how great their IQ is. Because their IQ is so big, that means that they're smarter than everybody. I'm not going to do it today, but at some point, I am going to do a show on education again. And I'm going to attempt to educate the people that are saying these things about...
Which is no one.
How to know if you're intelligent, how to know if you're ignorant, and how to know if you're just plain stupid. All right? And what it means when you know how to solve problems. Again, that doesn't make you super intelligent. That just means that you know how to solve problems. So anyway, let me get Von Helm in here.
That's what intelligence is.
I would like to get your opinion on this, man, about because there are a lot of people on here boasting and bragging for like the last 11 years I've been on YouTube about how great the IQ is and how big it is and whatnot.
Yeah.
You think that they're super intelligent with that. What's your opinion of you on that?
Actually, that's probably my fault.
Why?
I made the mistake years and years and years ago, about 15 years ago, I made the mistake. Someone randomly asked me what my IQ was, and I told them I have a 190 IQ.
Whoa!
Oh, my goodness sakes. There went the floodgates. Oh, there goes
the flat
John.
earther.
He's claiming
IQ.
to be more intelligent than everybody. And that's not what I meant by it at all. I wouldn't even have mentioned it at all if somebody hadn't asked me the question. In fact, even
by the way, 160 up is
bring
exceptionally gifted
because, it's not that big a deal to me. Okay, and for the record, for those of you that are just Googling as fast as you can, the highest IQ right now is currently 236, in case your Google somehow fails you, folks. All right.
190 plus is 1 in 100
what
million
does it
people.
mean? It means intelligence quotient, but that doesn't make you smart. An intelligence quotient is merely the ability to be able to be smart.
No,
it is a plateau that you can reach. It doesn't mean you achieve that plateau. It just means that that's a plateau that you can attain. And because they're saying out on the outside, it means intelligent quotient. Well, of course,
intelligence is the ability to learn.
That doesn't equate intelligence. For example, all right, this is a basic example. Okay, Gman is going to know damn near everything there is to know about rap music. And not just because he's a black man, but because he listens to that music.
He doesn't even know what intelligence is.
That's his style of music that he listens to.
The ability to be smart.
I'm not going to know dick about rap music. It's not my style of music.
It's nothing to do with raw
metal
knowledge.
So am I more intelligent than Gman? No.
Knowledge is not intelligence.
Rap music, because he's going to own my ass. Totally. Okay? Because that's his genre of music. That is what he knows. Okay? So, I can have a 190 IQ all day long.
Which you don't.
But it ain't going to beat me in rap music with Gman. Not at all. Okay? I don't know how much of the South that Gman is aware of. But you get me a big bowl of jambalaya, and I'm gonna inhale that entire bowl of jambalaya, and Gman might turn his nose up and say, "Oh, what
the hell is jambalaya?"
Dude?
He said jambalaya.
Does that mean that my IQ therefore is now superior to Gman simply because I know more about Southern food than he does?
Yeah, he knows so much about Southern food. He said jambalaya.
Right. The 190 IQ is simply a plateau, a measuring stick, if you will, of where we are in the, I hate to use the term, but pecking order when it comes to the potential, like Gman stated earlier, the potential to be a problem solver, for example, to be someone who can be informative of certain things.
I guess Gumbo plus jambalaya.
You know, but I mean, is it you know, is my having a 190 IQ mean that I'm just so much better than everybody? No, not at all.
Yeah.
Because there's always somebody out there that's going to be better than you.
But clip that, jambalaya.
All right. And likewise, you're going to be better in some things than somebody else is. That's why the world needs all of us, is because some of us are good at something, some of us are good at other things. And that's why everyone is necessary.
And by the way, it's like night and day when you look on Google on this topic, and then when you go on Bing. I noticed that when you go on Google, there's a ton of videos, smarter. When you go on Bing, it talks about people with high IQs knowing how to solve problems faster. It actually goes what the IQ test is all about to begin with. I mean, and it's like these secularists.
Then why was Gman equating intelligence with Google being smart
so much?
Just minutes ago.
Misinformation on here. It's ridiculous.
If he knows that.
I was actually going to do a video about that where I had Google on one side and Bing on the other. I never got around to it though. I should have done that. Oh, totally different.
Oh yeah, he put the link out.
There's no comparison. That Google is limiting the knowledge out there like crazy, and people are not aware of it. Or if they are aware of it, they're
I'll get it in case anybody here wants to go
or something.
I want to. It says IQ test stands for intelligent. What is this quotient?
Intelligent quotient, right?
Quotient, right? It says IQ tests are tools to measure intellectual abilities and potential.
I just put the link for Gman's stream.
A wide range of cognitive
Not mine,
skills,
in his.
such as
I don't want a ton of people in here. We won't hear anything.
Solving. There is nothing there to suggest that if you take a IQ test, you're going to come out smarter than everybody else. I actually took one and had 15 questions, and I got 12 of them right my first time actually doing it. Well,
that wasn't an IQ test because they don't have the right answers. I didn't come out
believing that I was smarter than everybody. I came out thinking, okay, this is kind of easy. That goes there, because it was like a whole bunch of okay, which one finishes this? These little pictures and where they're supposed to go or whatever. You know what I mean? So where are they getting this? Where are they getting this thing that if you have a high IQ, you're smarter than everybody?
I think the reason they say that is because a lot of
you say that, Gman. We don't say that. We know what intelligence is.
Stuff such as that. They almost always had a higher IQ than others, but that still does not mean that like I said in the rap music example, you're going to know more about it than me. I'm not going to know.
Intelligence is not raw knowledge.
You're going to know all their names, and maybe.
No, I don't know that much about rap. I don't know. Everybody keeps thinking that.
I'm using it as an example. Yeah, but I'm using it as an example. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Likewise, heavy metal. You probably, I don't know if even know who Ronnie James Dio is. Do you know?
Hey, he's got 35, and we've got 42 right now.
I know Metallica, Twisted Sister.
There's
Kiss.
Well, Rage Against the Machine. Rage Against the Machine was punk. Rage Against the Machine is actually punk, but yeah, you're good. You're good. You got Twisted Sister in there. And
before I became a Christian, I listened to Twisted Sister and a little bit of Metallica. I listened to a little bit of everything before I became a Christian.
Yeah. Right. And I have to. But I mean, but my point is that you're going to know some things that I'm not going to be privy to. And I'm going to know things you're not privy to. But the key thing here is problem solving.
Than I do, that's for sure.
Right. But the key is problem solving. Someone with a higher IQ is going to be more apt to be a problem solver. They're going to be able to think critically about a situation more than, say, the average.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of true, but it's more the ability to learn.
Really good at being a detective.
Learning how to learn, which is what we go to college for.
That was exactly where I was going. A detective or some kind of private investigator.
Yeah,
something like that. But that does not demean the normal everyday Joe. That does not demean people with a low IQ. Okay, they still serve a purpose. Everybody serves a purpose. Everybody serves a purpose. Okay, there is nobody being left out here. Nobody being demoted or whatever.
There's Vaughn saying the world needs ditch diggers
it's just a measuring stick. That's all it is. It is a measuring stick. But like I said, this crap here on YouTube got started, unfortunately, because of me. Some troller hater 15 years ago asked me about my IQ, and I said I took a test a while back and got a 190. And they're like, "Oh my God, 190! That's so high, and that's higher than him."
Let me tell you something. In all honesty, the reason why I think a lot of the atheists think we're dumb is because when they become atheists, they dive into science and they get into it like hardcore.
Yes.
And when they find out that a lot of people, when they run into people who don't like science or thinks it's boring, they automatically equate that to them being dumb. And that's to their own detriment, in my opinion, because it's going to make them overconfident when they have a conversation with you, and they're going to think they're going to outsmart you. In reality, they're setting themselves up to get embarrassed.
Mr. Unite's on fire.
I walked into a couple of debates my first time being on here thinking I knew it all, and then I went and did a debate. I was like, what? I've heard that before. I think I should have been a little more prepared. You know what I mean? And it happens when you walk into these things and you're being overconfident because you think you're smarter than everybody. But I got somebody here in the background. I got commitment here, so because I don't really know this guy that well, I gotta put the banner up.
It's
Kermit. I gotta put the banner up. I'll just do this. Commitment, and I'll do this. How you doing, Commitment? Do you have an argument against my answer prayer argument?
Unchanging God. Go with unchanging God. Divine plan.
Do you have an argument against my answer prayer argument? The commitment, I'll ask you one more time, and then I'm going to put you back in the background. Do you have an argument against the answer prayer argument? Yes or no?
Oh, wow. That's nasty.
Yeah, so commitment. Do you have an argument against the answer prayer argument? That's some argument, man. That's pretty good. But I don't think it's good enough to prove that my answer prayer argument. I mean, we tried. I mean, that was a good effort. You know what I mean? But it just wasn't good enough.
Gotta pick your mic here.
Ella, go with the unchanging God.
Well, let's try to
Prayer cannot change God's mind.
Hey, commitment.
No, I still host.
No, this is just an attempt to disrupt the show. That's all it is. And that's what we're going to do.
Well, it could be. It could be.
Yeah. So, and I don't give them the benefit of the doubt. They do this all the time when they come here. So anyway, yeah. So let's get back into this whole being educated thing, Vaughn. Now, if we're talking about somebody who's educated, we're talking about somebody that hold on a minute. We're talking about somebody who is informed about various different things. Now, when you withhold information that could change your mind about something, or you withhold information that could grow your understanding about something, then you're going to be more ignorant than anything else.
Right.
Matt Dillahunty is not stupid, for example. He's intelligent. He's intelligent when it comes to certain topics. He's intelligent when it comes to philosophy. He's intelligent when it comes to how to have a debate point counterpoint.
That's knowledge.
Where I would challenge Matt Dillahunty's cognitive skills and his ability to pick up things really fast is when we start talking about the Bible, because he doesn't have that much information about it, nor does he want the proper information about it. He had a debate with you about paganism. He doesn't really know a lot about it.
He's going to fail. He's going to fail.
So, in order for him to become educated, he has to go read up on what paganism is.
Study. That's right. You got to study.
He has to be able to describe what it is that you believe and what various different pagans believe. That would make him, okay, this guy's obviously informed, knows what he's talking about, and he's educated. Nobody cares about your degrees because you got somebody to do your homework for you. When we have the conversation, that's when we're going to know how much you know about the topic or not. I've talked to a bunch of people.
When that's your homework, you'll graduate.
I talked to Dr. Josh. I talked to Scholar Fiction and several other people in here. I know Dr. Josh is educated on the topic because Dr. Josh can actually go into the society. He can go into what happened in that part of the world. He can talk about what happened in the Bible. He can talk about the transatlantic slave trade. Matt Dillahunty can't do all that. All Matt can do is, your God's immoral because he allows it in the Bible.
Right.
He doesn't get into society. He doesn't get into how it's accepted in the Middle East. He doesn't get into any of that. So he's not as informed as everybody might think he is.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
well, they put on airs. They put on airs, but they're not as informed as they let on a lot of times.
Right. So when you hear people in here talking about some, I have a high IQ, therefore I'm more educated than a person with a lower IQ. No, it just means that you're better at solving problems than the other person.
Correct.
But you don't need an IQ test for that. You know what I mean? We can put both in the desert somewhere with a knife and an empty can of in an almost empty canteen of water. Why don't we both go out there and see who survives, and we'll find out who's more intelligent, who's got a higher IQ than.
Whoever is the fake diecast racing with Lon has lots of
how to
socks.
find
They
water,
get back
how
quick.
to survive, and all those things and whatnot.
Yes, I have a page on YouTube. I have a page on BitTube. I have a page on
BitTube?
BitShoot. I have a page on
BitTube.
MeWe. I have a page on Rumble, but I can't get my phone to work. But yeah, I got several pages. Which one do you want? I mean, I got plenty. I got all kinds. Let me know which one you want. Let me know which one you want. I like Gman's sweater too. It kind of reminds me of Bill Cosby.
So the bottom line is I'm a little surprised. Actually, I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised because of the kind of subscribers I got on this channel. Because if I did this on the Gman channel, I'll be having all kinds of takers coming in there.
No,
On
no,
this
he wouldn't.
channel, they're a little bit more shy. They don't know how to.
Just like he was going to
say,
have
okay,
a panel
that's
of
not
black
evidence
guys
for
to
God.
talk about the
Atheists,
N-word.
are we in agreement that I gave you evidence for the existence of God? Answer
No.
prayer. Are we in agreement that I'm correct about what I'm saying? Because it's not like you're rushing in here to show me why I'm wrong.
Unchanging God.
They can't, G-Man. They can't. They can't. Eyewitness testimony is used in courts in this country all over the place all the time. When you want to win your case, you bring in a witness. That witness says, "Yeah, I saw Von Helden, and he was totally innocent," and that's the end of the case right there,
Oh,
man.
is it?
When you got eyewitnesses that can corroborate where you were
I'd
and
like to
what you was doing at
cross-examine,
the time,
please.
you're innocent. That's it. You're done. The case is good.
Onto that, atheists always say that eyewitness testimony is the weakest form of evidence.
That's why I brought it up.
Check this out, though. But if people would listen to these atheists, it's self-refuting when they say that. Let me tell you why. When they say that it's the weakest form of evidence, they're not saying it's not evidence.
No,
Right.
nobody's saying that.
They're saying the evidence is weak.
Right.
The point of the matter is evidence is being presented.
Bad evidence is still evidence.
And every time they fail to say it's not evidence, they're saying that we have provided evidence. So we have 500 eyewitnesses
Unconvincing evidence.
that say they saw the risen Christ.
Right.
500 of them.
No, you don't. You have a report of 500 of them. You don't have 500 people.
That a person can use to determine whether or not God exists. Thank you for acknowledging the fact that there's evidence for God. Anything else you want to talk about?
A report of
Right,
500
right.
witnesses
I
is
need-
Well,
worth
quantum
nothing.
physics pretty much says there's a creator out there somewhere, but
No,
they
it
don't.
doesn't.
They keep rejecting it. They keep rejecting it. Quantum physics is science, and it says there's a creator out there somewhere.
All right, commitment. This is the last time. What is your argument against the answer per argument? My finger is on the remove button.
All right. Calm down, man. So, okay. So let's just kind of establish some things here. You want to say that there's evidence for God? I can admit to that. But
Good.
is your evidence strong and convincing? No,
Not really.
Not to when you're trying to tell it to other people. You know what I mean? Because for you, that is very convincing, but that's just eyewitness testimony, and that's not really the strongest form of evidence to convince someone else because you are the only person that experienced that from your account, right?
Revelation
About
is
like you
first
getting
person only.
your prayers answered.
Good point.
That's only you, and your argument itself doesn't really work. I mean, because it's not really an argument; it's just a story you're telling us. So I don't understand how to do that.
So first you said it's evidence. Then you said it's not evidence. Then you say that it's
Not what I
weak.
said. I said it's weak evidence.
Okay, but the point is, it's evidence though, nonetheless.
Right.
It's evidence is nonetheless.
I started it
evidence-
off saying I admit that there's evidence for God. So that doesn't mean anything
Right.
what you said.
If there's evidence for God, then I guess my question for you would be is why are you an atheist? Are you going to tell me that that there's no evidence for the existence of God when you just admitted that there was?
Thanks for telling me what I'm going to say. But no, actually, what I'm going to say to that is that there may be evidence, but there's not evidence to me that convinces me because not all evidence is the same evidence for everyone else to be convincing towards them.
Okay, so in 2021, the new argument is that there is evidence for God. It's just not strong enough to convince you that God exists.
What do you mean new argument? I'm pretty sure that's something that's existed for years. Like not argument, but that's just something that a criteria that exists for many people.
Okay,
Because
so explain to me why my answer per argument doesn't work.
He just did.
like I said,
This is just a story.
that's essentially what he told us. He
Yeah,
told us
it's
that works for you.
anecdotal,
That's just a
it's
story at the end of the
personal
day.
revelation.
Because How do you have any direct proof that God had intervention into your prayer?
God material or immaterial?
It's immaterial.
Okay,
I know you're.
I'd say
how does an immaterial being make himself known to the material world?
Oh, please tell me. Let's follow your script.
The way he does it is by answering their prayers for this particular.
So he is changing.
So if I pray immaterial, wait a minute. If I pray to this immaterial being that lives outside of time and space, and I want himself to be known in the material world, he would have to do something in the material world, right? Does that logically follow?
Sure. Okay,
so if he's going to do something in the material world, then it has to be according to his word so that we can narrow it down to the God of the Bible. We're not talking about paganism. We ain't talking about Islam. If you want to talk about paganism or whatever, you can do that later. But as far as the way the Bible goes, as long as we're doing it under the parameters of the scriptures, then it's going to show that it was the God of the Bible who did it, right? So if I have a journal and let's say again, I go over there and I pray and ask God for something. I do it so everybody can hear me or whatever, right? And actually, that wouldn't be a good idea.
Yeah, that violates Matthew's
well. I might be trying to be a starfish or whatever. But let's just say I went over there and I
pray in your closet.
Came back and I recorded it in my journal on February 14th, 2021. I asked God for this. Now, there are three answers that we're typically going to get from God. It's going to be a yes, a no, or not now.
Not Matthew, it's Romans.
Right? And we see all three examples in Scripture where God verbally says these things to a particular person. Okay? Now, I can write down, okay, he said yes on this particular day. And I can write down the circumstances in my journal. Who are you to sit there and say that God had nothing to do with that when I'm showing you all of the circumstances in which the prayer was answered?
Ooh, he wrote it down on paper. Must be true.
Let's say, for example, my mother was on a deathbed, or not my mother. Let's say your mother was on the deathbed or whatever, right? Because this would be intercessory prayer. This is how you would be directly involved. You got a relative on their deathbed, we have. Doctors have done everything they can to revive this person or to help this person, but nothing can happen. They said, let's say, for example, that they got cancer and the cancer has spread throughout their entire body, and they only have a couple of days to live.
Let's say it's an amputee.
But the family didn't give up. They're praying and they're asking God to spare this person, to give this person a few more years, let them live. After this medical professional just said this person is going to be dead in a couple of days.
They never.
Let's say that person is healed, which happens all the time, right?
That's why they don't say that.
Explain to me how God had nothing to do with that, and how that wouldn't be evidence for him.
Well, you're claiming it's God, but do you have actual direct proof that it was God? Other than
yes, I do. I have my prayer journal. I have the day that I made the prayer. The person I prayed
prayer
for,
journal, therefore
the fact that it was answered and the circumstances of how it was how it was answered. Now here's the thing. Now we're talking about cancer spreading throughout your body. That's usually a death sentence for most people. Usually, do you have another explanation on where the cancer went?
Oh, argument from ignorance. Very good.
So again, you're not actually proving it was God because you're just writing down your journal because, like you said, you have to be alone to make the prayer for anything supposedly to happen, and then you come back writing down something that happens.
What else can it be?
What else can it be?
Well, here we go. What else can it be?
Cancer is something happens to it.
It's called remission.
Assume it's the hospital itself and the doctors doing something.
And I would agree, but there's a problem with that. The problem is that cancer doesn't get small in a fraction of a second. It takes days for the cancer.
That never happens.
Making up. So
that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Okay,
tumors don't just miraculously disappear like that.
I can show you
that would be good evidence.
I can show you a Canadian scientist where he shrank tumor cells, but it didn't. He wasn't able to shrink those cells in a day, and he certainly wasn't able to shrink them in a second. It took several days, even weeks, to shrink
Where's the evidence
cells down
a tumor
smaller
going
size.
Away in a second?
Okay, what Gman is referring to is instantaneous change, miraculous change.
Yeah, where is that?
That cannot be explained by science. It has to be God. That's the only example.
There's no cases of that.
There is no.
If there's another example commitment, that burden falls on you to be able to explain science.
Yeah, and if there is, you got to tell us what it is. That's right. Absolutely.
We say it's God. You have to tell us what it really is.
Explain anything because you're claiming.
Okay, so if it happened, then you got to assume God.
I still think unchanging God is the better.
You have no other naturalistic explanation for how this person got healed, and these are the kind of things that happen all the time. People are being miraculously cured of AIDS,
and not miraculously.
cancer, a whole bunch of different fatal illnesses where doctors have said basically you're going to be dead in a couple of days or even a few minutes. People get on there and they start praying, start laying hands on the person, and the person is healed. You cannot sit there and tell me that, or how do I know it's God? And you don't even have a different explanation.
Never.
That's denialism. That's you saying that I'm going to just forget what I'm looking at, forget the possibility that God might be involved in this, and I'm just going to say, well, I don't know what happened.
Well, no, again, you're still not directly proving it. You're just claiming over and over again that it's God, but you're not actually proving it. Because again, if a person gets there in a hospital, I'm going to reasonably assume that it was the hospital himself that they did something. The doctors did something for that person to at least get a better. You're still not giving me actual.
No, that's what the claim that I made was that the cancer that the doctor said that the cancer has spread throughout their body and they was going to be dead in a couple of days.
Doctors don't say that.
2 or 3 days. That's the example I gave you. So you can't say the doctor did anything. You can't say the nurses did anything. They gave up on this person.
Doctors never say that. Remission is a thing.
Right? So in this scenario, it's an impossible scenario, just like the scripture would teach. And I can show you. I can show you what the verses are. Because typically when Christians resort to prayer, it's usually because it's out of our control. It's out of our power. Because honestly, if I can take an antibiotic, I'm not going to waste God's time. I'm going to go get an antibiotic. I'm going to take it, and then that's going to be it. But if it's a scenario where they can't give you nothing and they're saying that you're going to die and you done tried everything, that's when you go to God. And when he directly intervenes, in order for you to sit there and say that I'm just making a bold claim or whatever, you have to have an alternative explanation. And you don't got one. This is where denialism comes in. When you're going to look at reality, this person has been healed. You see these people over there praying. The doctor don't know what happened, and he's a medical professional. He thought this person was going to be dead.
No, he didn't.
What's your explanation? You don't have one.
He has probabilities.
And it's anything but God. It's anything but God when it comes to atheists.
But you haven't demonstrated it's God.
So going back to the answer prayer argument, you cannot refute a journal. You cannot do it. And you can't say it's an empty claim. The only way you can refute this is to explain to me, in the scenario that I gave you, how that patient just got healed from cancer. How did they go into remission? What happened? Explain the science behind it.
The science behind remission?
Well, I'm not a cancer researcher, so I really can't explain the in-depth mechanics.
Cells have the ability to repair themselves.
All right, so I'm
slowly, not instantly.
So again, in order to refute answer prayer, my friend, you got to do better than it wasn't God or just a story. Because in order to got to follow up with facts, we don't have any.
You're not actually proving it.
Yes, I am.
Not really.
Oh, yes, I am.
No, you're not.
You're
making claims.
Okay, 1 second. My speaker spoke. Vaughn, say something real quick, Vaughn.
Yeah. Okay. Let me give you something that actually happened in my life.
Here we go.
This is a real story. It really happened. Okay.
You should already
this
not
is
believe
no BS. I'm not blowing smoke up your hiney or anything like
that.
Yes. This really happened. Okay.
No, it didn't.
I was shortchanged my check 3 times at a job I was working at.
No, it wasn't.
All right. And I got mad and I stormed out of there, obviously, for very good reason. And I stormed out of there and I got into my car. And when I got into my car, this voice spoke into my being, not into my head, into my being. Okay. If you're hearing voices in your head, go see a doctor. But it spoke into my being and it said, okay. You will not see this building 1 week from today. And I'm like, say what? Said, you will not see this building 1 week from a day, not one stone upon another.
And he didn't tell anybody?
And I actually got in the car and went on home. I never really thought that much about it. I'm like, okay, whatever, fine, But I went on home and, and then at about the 5th or 6th day, man, it really started gnawing at me. I really need to go and see what happened to that building. So on the 7th day, I got in my car. I went back down to Fairfield, Ohio, to where that building was. And when I pulled into a parking lot, there was nothing there but a couple of pipes sticking up out of the ground. So that voice, that presence, that whatever that spoke into my gut and said that building wasn't going to be there, that building wasn't there. Now, I would love for you to explain to me, was that just was that just coincidence? Was that some kind? Is there some kind of scientific theorem you can give me for that one, genius? Because I'd love to hear it.
Yeah,
no,
you just made it all up.
The explanation for that is that it was a deity or deities.
Oh, that's the only explanation for your bullshit story.
But anyway, the point is that there's no way you can give me a scientific explanation for what happened. There's no way. You can't say it's coincidence. You cannot say it's science.
Why not?
You cannot say that, it's
even if it was true.
Chance.
Why couldn't you say that was coincidence?
There's nothing that you can come up with to explain what happened. Nothing.
All right. So
what was that?
Had to be his guys.
Who's a veteran with dealing with my with dealing with me, said this. He said that and John McDropout, bring your buddy here, man. I don't know why he's so camera shy all of a sudden. He says prayer works, providing you pray for something that possibly happened anyway without divine intervention.
Good point.
And don't think there is a difference between all possible answers. Hey, John McDropout, I'd like to see you come here and actually prove that, John, because I got some Bible verses that says something totally different, dude, especially if we're talking about the conditions for how you pray.
Let's go to amputees.
So I somehow miraculously knew that building was going to be torn down within a week? Is that your claim, McDropout? That somehow I was clairvoyant enough to know that building was going to be taken down in a week?
Yeah, I mean, what happened? Did it evaporate? Did it magically disappear?
It doesn't either one. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which one.
Atheists are saying that when Christians pray for things, that we are in fact asking for something that we would get anyway, that it would be a coincidence.
No.
Well, here's the thing. This goes back to having
when you ask for things you can't get, you never get them.
Intelligent. Do you know the difference between luck, coincidence, and answered prayer? Because there is a difference between the three. Doesn't work like that, John McDropout. You've been G-smacked on this topic before, man.
Yes, no.
Come in here. Take your medicine, bro. Come on. The fact that how you doing, Hannah Stout? The fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, luck is you going outside and you just randomly finding a buck on the ground, just to educate my audience here. A coincidence is Vaughn walking outside and I walking outside. And then we happen to find $1 on the ground at the exact same time in different cities. That is a coincidence. Prayer is obviously me asking and me receiving. So where are you
not receiving
coincidence stuff from? Answer prayer will never be defeated by an atheist, because atheists, and as a matter of fact, I like to thank Kermit for saying that this is evidence for God. He can say it's as weak as he wants or whatever, but the fact of the matter is,
does he think any evidence demonstrates a claim?
If
there's any evidence at all,
then yes,
demonstrated.
You don't got a logical, rational, but a truthful reason for being an atheist. It's as simple as that. You just don't got it. Except for this, that you can admit that you claim to be an atheist, or you identify with being an atheist, because you're angry at the Christian God, like we've been saying on here for the longest. So we got another guy who wants to come here. His name is Jersey Devil. Let me put the screen on here again. Jersey Devil, how are you, sir? What is your argumentation against the answer prayer argument, sir?
Unchanging God.
Hey, what's up, Gman? How are you? First off, you doing good?
I'm all right. So please explain to me why the answer prayer argument is so bad and why it doesn't prove that God exists.
Well, look, I'm not going to necessarily touch on whether or not it proves that God exists or not. I mean, you know me. I don't necessarily say that any God doesn't exist. I'm very open to all those concepts. One thing, though, that I would like to point out, I think it might help you some in communicating with atheists. You talk a lot about prayer journals and using them as evidence. Yes, but as you mentioned earlier, that notepad it's a prop. It's not a real prayer journal. Am I incorrect in that?
No, you're totally right about that. These are my notes for evolution and things like that.
Right. So whenever you say that somebody can make a prayer journal, that's it's a hypothetical. Like what you need to do is actually produce a prayer journal that atheists can look at, read through, and criticize to their own. I'm sorry, I've lost the word.
I use the actual prayer journal.
That would not work. And
I actually gave examples for it. But I'll tell you what, I make a deal with you, Jersey Devil. I will, the day I actually show a real prayer journal on here where God actually answered prayers, give you the dates and the time for all of that, which I'm perfectly capable of doing, is the day that an atheist who claims that morality is subjective proves to me in the same manner that rape is okay in certain areas.
Wow.
Well,
without coming up with a hypothetical, by the way, meaning you can't talk about how the Death Star is pointing to Earth and you got
without a hypothetical
in order to stop it from destroying the Earth. You
what a
understand
real
what I mean?
example?
If you're going to play that game with me, then that game has to be played with you too. When you produce an argument that says that rape is okay in certain scenarios without coming up with a hypothetical, then I'll stop doing it.
Okay, it's okay outside the city if she doesn't yell too much.
I don't see what that has to do with the argument at hand. I'm just saying, G-Man, if you can't produce a prayer journal for them to look through, then why even bring it up? I mean, they're not going to take that seriously.
Why I bring up the answer prayer argument is because for, I guess, the better part of 8 years, you guys haven't been able to debunk it. And I figured I'd just bring it back to life.
I mean, if you rape her outside the city, you don't get punished.
And whether or not you've actually found a way to debunk it, which I don't think you can. And if you can't, you have to accept what I'm about to say, and you have to do it nicely, I guess. You have to accept the fact that you don't have a sound, rational reason for being an atheist. No truthful reason for being an atheist. Why? Because evidence exists for God.
I'm not an atheist, G-Man. I'm a practitioner of the occult.
Not you. I'm talking about and the other atheists watching. And by the way, what is your religious disposition? Because I forget.
I mean, I'm an occult practitioner. I practice the mystic arts, kind of like Vaughn, not exactly like Vaughn.
Okay, I got you. All right. So you're an occultist.
It's not. Well, unless you consider Matthew and Luke and John places where they say anything you ask, I will give you.
New World Order?
I guess that's answered prayer, but
no,
we know it doesn't work.
Okay. Hold on. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to remove you. Okay, so I watched a movie called New World Order. And there's a Christian version of it, but I didn't know that there was an atheist version of this that existed. And the movie is about an hour and a half or whatever, but basically it's this atheist that dives into all of these different conspiracy theories. You should watch it. Vaughn, you should check it out too. I think you'll find it to be very interesting. This atheist girl who's going to college over there in New York. I forget the name of the college. Actually, I think it's North New Jersey. I think that's anyway. So, but
God must have said not yet.
New Jersey area that she's going to school. So anyway, they wanted her to do a paper on conspiracy theories, and I guess they wanted her to expose them or whatever. So as an atheist, she was diving into it, and then she found this underground library or whatever, and she met some other atheists. You don't know she's an atheist in the beginning, by the way. This revealed later on or whatever. But she goes through all these books or whatever. Long story short,
this is true.
The crazy gets so crazy.
If he did keep a journal, he would use it as evidence.
Ends up believing she's hearing from Zeus. Believes Vaughn, you got to see it, Vaughn. I'm telling you, she believes she's hearing from Zeus. She gets into all of this ridiculous stuff about what happened to Kennedy and all these other different things. You got to check this movie out. One of these days, I'm gonna watch it again, and then I'm gonna review it on this channel and talk about it. But if you guys want to see the movie, I can find it on here, and then you guys can check it out. But it's a really interesting movie. Like Vaughn, one of the conclusions that they came up to in the movie is that the Earth was created by a woman.
Really?
Right?
Yeah, there's a belief out there that the Diana, the goddess of the universe, is the sole proprietor and creator. You know, instead of just calling it a source, instead of just calling it the one, they give it a name, Diana, and they give it a female moniker. You know, hey, whatever works for them, I don't care. I mean,
it says in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and what the atheists that owns the library will say is that Christians are ignorant and they make up their own. A lot of the things that you and Jersey Devil would say. But they'll say that the word there means what is it? It's theos or whatever, and it's supposed to be feminine. And they're saying that basically a woman created creation.
Theos is a pantheon of gods, crazy. By the way.
Well, the reason they do that is because it's the woman who gives birth to the child, and you know that sort of thing. And kind of, it's the whole fertility thing, and
you go deep enough into the occult, it also shows why people worship the womb and all that. So
I believe
it gets pretty deep into all of that. Actually, but what's funny about this is the atheist comes to the conclusion
that's the native beliefs.
She's a college student trying to be all rational about everything, and the more she reads these conspiracy theories, the crazier she gets. I can't believe this. People are following me. I can't believe this. Meanwhile, there is a real conspiracy in the movie from the lady who told her to do the I don't mean to tell the movie, but the lady who told her
that's the way I've seen it spelled.
Do the research, and everybody that was in her life was all part of a conspiracy to get her to do all of this studying to see if she would come up with some new information. Very interesting movie. Very, very interesting movie. I watched that last night. I gotta admit, you atheists actually got some decent movies on YouTube. I mean, not on YouTube, on Tubi, I think that is. Yeah, Tubi. Very, very interesting. It's called New World Order. If you get an opportunity, watch it. The only way you're going to be able to find it, you have to get the author. I'll get you that right now. Hold on a minute.
The New World Order was like Hulk Hogan, Kevin Nash, and
no.
That's not that New World Order.
Guys go wow, 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 wow.
I forget the lady's name, but it was his lady. And as a matter of fact, she looks like Cheshire, Vaughn. The lady that played in the movie is almost identical to Cheshire. You got to see how this lady looks. Looks identical to Cheshire.
Coincidence? I think not.
Very interesting. So anyway, coincidence. That's something that went out throughout the entire movie too. That theme that you just said, coincidence. You think not? The entire movie was that theme. It made my head hurt. I was listening to. Oh my God! How could these people be so brave? But anyway, the girl. Anyway, I ain't gonna say what happens to her at the end of the movie, but it's just like ugh, it's bad. It's bad. But anyway, getting back to this, I greatly appreciate you commitment admitting that there's evidence for God. Praise God for that. You have no excuse for being an atheist. Evidence doesn't.
I would say that there's a lot of atheists that would say there's evidence for God,
there's evidence.
just not evidence that convinces
it's just
them.
unconvincing evidence.
I don't.
So you're in denial. Thank you.
That's
no.
not denial. No.
We realize that any evidence isn't good enough.
You just said
there's bad
evidence that God exists, but you ain't going to accept said evidence. So yes, you are in denial.
All evidence isn't weighted the same.
Means.
Holy cow!
That's the textbook definition of being in denial.
Wouldn't you say there's evidence for views that oppose you, though, Vaughn?
What's that?
Wouldn't you say there's evidence of views that oppose you, but they're not convincing to you? Wouldn't you say that?
No, I would not. If there's evidence that God exists, hold on, Gman. I got to tackle this one. He's not getting away from this. Okay,
this is 190 IQ.
You don't think I tried atheism? You don't think there was a moment in my life when I was looking for a path that I didn't give atheism a consideration? Of course I did. And you know why I rejected it? You know why I rejected it, Kermit? And I'm going to be straight up with you, dude.
Christian
you know
God,
why
right?
I rejected it? I rejected it because it's a lazy man's way out.
Why isn't Gman a Hindu, a Buddhist?
There's
evidence for those.
And I won't do anything, and I'll just say there is no God at
all.
all.
Muslim?
I won't go to a library and do actual research to find a religion that really does suit me and suits my lifestyle and suits what I believe and what I perceive God to be. Oh, no. I'm going to sit on my rear.
Compelling.
And not do any research, not do any study, there is tons of information out there on various religions of the earth that would appeal probably to you. But you won't get off your keister and go do any research. You're a lazy git, as we used to say years ago. You won't do anything.
Or he just doesn't want to believe in anything. And that's a conscious decision that he's making.
We don't believe in anything.
No logical or rational reason for being atheist. They're just claiming it because they don't want to believe in anything.
Well, then that would, I don't want to
believe in things I can't demonstrate are true.
Well, I'd say it's pretty logical and rational to not believe something that doesn't have convincing evidence for you, wouldn't it?
Evidence is evidence.
Evidence is not.
If we're providing evidence for the supernatural, that or for a deity that lives outside of time and space, and then you're just ignoring everything that we put in front of you without giving a rational explanation on why that is not evidence by definition.
We don't say it's not evidence.
You're doing. You're sitting here going, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. And that's what you're doing. And that's what a lot of atheists on here do.
I can say there was a car wreck in front of my house just now. That's evidence that there was a car wreck. Are you convinced there was one?
And I will do it over and over and over again and won't even take it seriously no more because you're not going to want to have like that dialogue to see what kind of that you just think about this. Let's say I wasn't one of the most hated Christians on here. I'm not the most hated Christian, thank God. But let's say I was one of the most hated. Let's say I was a white person on here, and I wanted to have a dialogue with you to see if we can come to the conclusion. Let's say we both started off at atheism, right? We're both starting here. You're an atheist, and I'm an atheist, and we're looking at answered prayer. We're looking at the Quran cosmological argument. We're looking at these things. unless I willfully make a decision to say that I'm not going to listen to anything that anybody had to say to me, there is no way on God's green earth you can ignore all the evidence that's been put in front of atheists. Especially if you don't got a comeback.
You don't have to ignore it. You just don't find it compelling.
An irrational or illogical one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I'm wrong, I like to hear those arguments. But
terrible.
Yeah, this idea that I never considered it when I was.
Let's do the unanswered prayer argument.
How about that one? I did. And I rejected it because it's lazy.
Works with the idea that they might be talking to themselves when they're doing, and that's why we say that we're doing things on faith. Those things enter your head every now and then.
Well,
you know what I mean? The matter is that there's too much overwhelming evidence, especially in a person's life, that would suggest that there's something out there.
There's no overwhelming or else everyone would believe.
There's so many people out there that have their lives changed for the better because of theism, not to consider it.
Well, I'm sure that for many people, religion has done wonders for their life. I'm not going to deny that.
I didn't say religion. I said theism.
Theism, religion.
Not the same. Not the same.
My apologies, Vaughn.
I don't believe things for good feelings.
Theism. So theism or religion or whatever, right? So when I hear atheists saying that, and I'm not saying that you did this commitment. I'm not saying this about pretty much anybody in the live chat, unless I know that they said it. But I've heard enough people who say that we don't need a God. They don't understand a God. They can't comprehend a God. And it's like,
well, that's in the Bible.
Do you know what the definition of one is? And if you know what the definition is, and you know the difference between naturalism and supernaturalism is, the concept isn't that difficult. Worship is not that difficult to understand. Knowing our place in all of this is not difficult to understand. The problem is some of us are so puffed up and proud, with our pride that it prevents us from being able to entertain the idea of something that big or that massive existing. You know what I mean? Outside of time and space. You know what I mean? So I'm pretty sure at some point in history, there were people out there that didn't understand what a black hole was, right? Yeah. There were people out there that didn't understand the concept of a singularity, that didn't understand radiation expanding or whatever. You know what I mean?
Radiation expanding.
It took new information to come about for a person to come to the conclusion that those things are real or doable or whatever. You know what I mean? Or may have happened or whatever. But you can't do it unless you accept new information that comes your way, or at least consider it. So if somebody's telling you answer prayer, cosmological, intelligent design, and you're not taking the time out to think about this information that's coming your way, of course you're going to stay in that stupor saying, I can't understand a God, I can't call. Well, take in the new information that you got and see whether or not it's reasonable, rational, or whether or not it's
random,
plausible, or whatever.
Like answered prayer.
That's the thing about religion. It doesn't base anything off new information. It stays in the same information that it's always had. Kind of like the Bible. I mean, it has, the Old Testament and New Testament, but it hasn't updated since the New Testament has it.
Thank you, Rotten Ralph. That's exactly right.
Okay, so let's talk about
not
that.
All evidence
that
is
good
religion
evidence. Doesn't accept new information. Name the religion that doesn't accept new information.
I'm not saying it doesn't accept it. I'm just saying it really hasn't updated.
Christianity does.
Okay, tell me.
Okay. For example, for years people were saying that the Old Testament had no originals whatsoever. They were just copies of copies of copies of copies, and they found the Dead Sea Scrolls. They were saying that there was no secular evidence for the existence of God. Then we got Tacitus, Flavius, Josephus. You know what I mean?
Josephus?
That was new information to support the idea that Christ did actually exist.
Josephus reported people were saying this.
Any archaeological finds
he's right. People were saying
any scientific data that we get to suggest
that
something in the Bible actually happened just gets ignored by people who just don't want to hear it. An intelligent person will hear this
Jew reporting that people were talking about the Messiah is not evidence there was a Messiah.
Come to a conclusion.
It's evidence that people were talking about the Messiah.
Believe it or not, you can take in new information and still be against something. You know what I mean? I get and I understand that, but most of the time when you're dealing with atheists, they don't even consider the new information. Richard Dawkins bent a little bit when he said that intelligent design could very well be a thing. The only problem with this is because he hates God so much, he says a deity can't be involved. It would just have to be a higher level evolved alien race or something like that actually did it.
All right. Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? So we take in new information. If, for example, I tell people this all the time, you want to destroy Christianity, go find the body of Jesus. Telling people that Jesus didn't exist is just not working. Bart Ehrman and God knows how many other people have done debunked that argument so many times it's not even funny. So in order for an atheist or somebody that wants to completely and destroy Christianity overnight, telling you all you gotta do is go find his body. That's all you gotta do. And you gotta be able to prove it's his body too. Because a lot of people were crucified. All
right. I hear what you're saying. I think that'd be pretty hard to identify it being as Jesus due to the fact that he'd probably be dust by now if he was, his body was a thing.
No, I don't think it'll be dust. I think his bones would still be there. You would find fragments of it anyway. And I think if that kind of thing existed, it would be in the Vatican. So, I mean, they got everything else on there.
You can bet they'd have the Vatican would have it.
Yeah. So.
I mean, they got that Shroud of Turin thing, they grabbed it up. And there's even controversy whether it's real or not. And they grabbed it up anyway.
I think they got the Ark of the Covenant, to be honest. I mean, the real one.
Nope. I'll tell you who's got it. Ethiopia. Right. They're the ones that claim they got it. And they've made that claim for years now, that they've got the Ark of the Covenant.
Oh, okay.
Well, Ethiopia,
they found the Ark.
It's out of me, but Ethiopia's, they swear up and down. They've been saying that for years. Said, we got it. We're holding on to it, and y'all can't have it. And it's like, okay, whatever.
And
not just Catholic churches.
Another thing that I like to
lots
try
of
to
Protestants
use
do the communion as well
as an argument outside of religion is the JFK assassination. I love bringing this up because people still believe that Lee Harvey Oswald was the lone assassin, right? Now, mind you, there was no conspiracy. Here's the thing, Vaughn. I want you to unmute. I want you to think about this a minute now. And Jersey Devil and Commitment. I like to hear your response to this, right? Consider this now. This ain't that Lee Harvey Oswald and nobody else was involved, right? That means the mafia had nothing to do with it. Anybody knows their history knows that that's like what? The mafia had nothing to do with it. Government had nothing to do with it.
CIA had nothing to do with it.
Hoffa didn't want him dead, even though Hoffa threatened Bobby Kennedy all the time. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Didn't even mourn when the man died or whatever.
Right.
So you're telling me that Kennedy only had one enemy, and that was Lee Harvey Oswald. No. And Jack Ruby just shot him because he was doing his patriotic duty. And I heard atheists argue this way. Yep, it was Lee Harvey Oswald. Jack Ruby just shot him because he was mad he killed JFK. Are you serious?
No way. You got sick. Okay, well, depending upon what your
the mafia openly admits they put Kennedy in office. They openly admit
whether they're
the mafia, they're lying. And watch what happened to you.
Whether there was 4 people in the car, 5 people in the car, or 6 people in the car is irrelevant. What is relevant is that in order for Lee Harvey Oswald to have done it by himself, he would have had to have chambered around in less than a split second. And we've had actual military personnel try to recreate Lee Harvey Oswald taking the shots he took, and they were unable to do it. And these were crack shots in the military, and they were unable to do it. Okay, so if a crack shot in the military can't do it, you can bet Lee Harvey Oswald didn't do it.
Somebody please tell me why I should care about JFK stuff.
John F. Kennedy.
The magic bullet theory, Vaughn. Just remember that.
The magic bullet theory, right?
The magic bullet theory is hilarious.
Is this what they got?
Yeah, the idea bullets. That bullets go backwards is just insane. But anyway, but here's the thing. Okay, going to G-Man's point. All right, John F. Kennedy in a speech openly said he was going after secret societies, that he was going after the mob, that he was going after the CIA. Okay, well, that's pretty much everybody right there. Okay, that was one speech. Okay, and he said, "I'm going after everybody." I mean, that's basically what the man said. Okay, so everybody wanted him dead. All right, everybody. Yeah. Now, who was the head of the CIA at the time? Oh, surprise!
I thought of that.
Bush Sr. just happened to be head of the CIA at the time. Imagine that. And Bush Sr. ended up being president not long after that too, didn't he? Amazing how that works. But anyway, you got Bush Sr. in there. All right. Richard Nixon was involved. So I hear. I still I gotta go back and look how he was involved.
But why is it that the vice president was so much against all of the policies that JFK was against?
Well, that could very well be.
I mean, he was totally against everything that Kennedy wanted to do magically.
Yeah, could have been. But you got Bush Sr.
I was what that Lyndon Johnson was the best president for Black people in the history of the United States. I cannot wait.
Lyndon, I want that ship on the bottom right now, Johnson. That Lyndon Johnson, yeah, golly, and tried to get us into a war with Israel. Golly, what a not only an anti-Semite but a racist prick. But anyway, so I mean,
Gman didn't like that.
You got Bush Senior, you got Richard Nixon, you got the CIA, not the head of the CIA, because that's
G-Man
Bush,
thinks Johnson was the best president for people
director
of color.
of the CIA.
Vaughn says he's a racist.
Trying to think of what his name was, and I can't think of what it was because I suddenly got brain locked for some crazy reason. Anyway, and then of course, like you said, you got the mob. Let's see, who was that? Hoffa. You got what was the other guy? Oh man, I can't think of his name. Gotti. You got Gotti. You got Hoffa, and then
Okay, so basically your argument is that he had a whole bunch of enemies. The point of the matter is that Oswald is the only one that actually went about doing the shooting, right?
Right. And then on top of that, you got the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, Carnegies, Warburgs, Vanderbilts, because at the time they had the Bilderberg Group, which was a secret society.
Vaughn is so jealous of those rich people.
It was not known about. And, Mr. Kennedy, former President Kennedy, he wanted to expose that as well. So, so you got the elites after him, you got the mob after him, and you got the CIA after him. So, yeah, there was probably multiple shooters. I think that's safe to say.
And then on top of that, another thing that they don't talk about, new information, is all of these people that said that they heard a second shot coming from a different area or whatever, right?
We don't
and all
care.
Of those people miraculously ended up dead.
What's the point of bringing up the JFK assassination?
The reason why I bring that up is this. When you can't nobody in their right mind come to the conclusion that Lee Harvey Oswald did it with all of this new information that's coming about concerning eyewitnesses, concerning motive, concerning all of, and then Jack Ruby just shooting him because it's for his patriotic duty. Everybody knows the man was involved with the mafia. Obviously, they didn't want him talking about something. Anybody with a mental illness can tell you that. You know what I mean? See, you don't even need a full brain. You need a half a brain.
Sound like 9/11 truthers.
Right? So
anyone
if you get
have
this
a
new
brain can see
information,
with
you
all
take
this
into
information.
consideration, there's no way in the world you're going to be able to come to the conclusion that Lee Harvey Oswald did it by himself, in the same way that when we're talking about the cosmological argument, when we're talking about archaeology, when we're talking about history, when we're talking about secular history, we're talking about all these different things, there's no way in the world you come to the conclusion that Jesus Christ never existed and that the resurrection never happened. There's just no way on God's green earth you can come to that conclusion.
Where's the magic bullet for the resurrection?
That's why I bring that up. It's just as silly as somebody talking about Lee Harvey Oswald was the only person.
Is it the cross coming alive and coming out of the tomb?
Honestly, go buy a book.
Gospel of Peter?
Go buy a book if you're that gullible.
Well, I don't think they're exactly the same thing, talking about the assassination of JFK and a belief in God myself. I think that there's a lot more evidence that, just can't be disputed that there was very likely a second shooter at the very least. There was a conspiracy that went on there. There was some stuff, obviously. You can't look the other way. But every year,
Kennedy did. Nope, Jimmy Hoffa didn't have no reason to get Bobby Kennedy out of office to take away his power.
Yeah, but when we're talking about God, there's there's not just new information from your side, G-Man. There's new information from science's side too, and I don't think that you can blame anybody who would weigh the evidence and make up for make their own minds up of
and then say that
what they believe in.
There's no evidence for God on the atheist experience.
We don't say there's no evidence.
What is that? The atheist communist
still on that
America over there that was on today. Matt Dillahunty will repeatedly say that no one's ever provided any evidence for the existence of our God. That's not true, especially by what you're saying right now. You would tell Matt Dillahunty he's lying at this point.
I don't think Matt says that.
Evidence does exist. It's just that many of us are not convinced by that evidence.
In fact, I've heard him correct himself.
Not convinced of what?
Many
the existence of God, or that Jesus Christ is the Savior.
I shouldn't say there's no
Which one
evidence.
is it?
There's unconvincing evidence.
Well, I think those are two completely different questions there.
Exactly, and I think atheists try to combine the two. There's too much evidence to suggest. As a matter of fact, there's more historical evidence to suggest that Jesus Christ existed then we got that Richard Dawkins was real.
What?
And I'm just keeping it real. There's more evidence in history that Jesus Christ was a real person than we do that Richard Dawkins
I've
existed.
apparently turned into G-Man up there according to my doc. I'm looking at my doc and
see how.
G-Man now? What in the world's going on with my doc, man?
Yeah, where are you, Vaughn? Oh, okay. I know what happened. My icon's up there. That's what happened. Let me try to change this here. Hold on.
Oh, wait, what? Oh, there he is. Oh my God.
Here I
Yeah, there's Vaughn.
Forgive me for mentioning it, but don't we have video of Richard Dawkins?
You guys,
what happened?
Pretty good evidence.
you guys care if I ask
There.
Commitment a few questions?
No,
I'm kind of curious about his past a little bit,
Fast.
If you don't
Not a
mind,
convict,
Commitment.
if that's what you're asking.
I don't know. I mean, I guess you're a judge by the looks of it.
Well, you see, yeah, yes.
Yes, you pass judgment, clearly. Not a bad thing.
I don't think anybody's passed judgment just yet.
Vaughn, I'll be right back. You're the only person on the big screen. Okay, I'll be right
Roger
back.
that.
All right, Commitment.
Let's
Now,
play
mind
Name That
you,
Trash.
If
Look
Vaughn
back in
Helton tells me
Vaughn's
that you guys
walkway there.
attacked him,
Name That Trash.
you know what's going to happen. So behave.
All right, no one's going to attack Von
I'll
Helton.
look for you.
I'll be on my best
What's
behavior.
that trash back in that?
All right, Commitment.
Back in that walkway.
You're an atheist now, I would assume. Am I correct?
You'd be correct.
All right. Have you always been an atheist?
Actually, no. For let's see, I've been an atheist for about I guess almost 6 years. Yeah, almost 6 years.
All right. Just out of curiosity, were you a Christian before?
I was a Catholic.
All right, not exactly the same, but same ballpark.
It's true. Catholics believe they're Christians too, so I guess it's the same.
Yeah, it is the same. I think that there's some arguments to be made, but
the church I went to definitely would call themselves Christians. They were like, there's no difference. We're Christians, Catholics, it's all the same. That's what they would say.
Yeah, that's what they would say. And I'm not going to say they don't believe in Jesus Christ, but I think that as far as like the actual application of their religion, how they worship, there are some very far-reaching differences.
That's
but
true.
That's neither here nor there. Whenever you ultimately stopped believing, and I'm not saying whenever you became an atheist, but whenever you became disillusioned with religion in general, did you immediately become an atheist, or was there a period of time where you would, I guess, consider yourself an agnostic, for lack of a better term, where you were open to the idea of God, probably looking into other religions?
Well, yeah, there's definitely a point where I was an agnostic because, since a child, I was raised, in Catholicism. So it really wasn't just a day where I was like, oh, no longer an atheist. It was really difficult, really walking that line of being an atheist or a believer in Christ, and honestly, it was kind of scary because first off, how do I tell my mother and father that I'm like an atheist? Because I'll be honest with you, the day I told her, broke her heart. But yeah, there was definitely a period of time where I was kind of like, well, how would I say? I was looking for evidence for God, and I was going to like all the typical stuff like, prayer stuff, and essentially prayer. Prayer was definitely like a number one source where I was like, wait, I've prayed in the past, but exactly look into what actually happened, because I was thinking to myself, well, I never heard anyone respond to me. So what do I do about that? You know what I mean? Because
it's hard to really believe one way or the other, if you're not given that concrete confirmation.
Yeah. And they'd be like how do I say it? Kind of have to think about this because how do I say it? I was a bit of a I don't know, how do I say it? Actually, I'm not sure. Pass.
All right. Well, that I guess that answers my questions. I was just I was curious. I understand. I mean, I was an atheist for several years, upwards of 12 years, and it's not like you just wake up one day and decide, hey, I don't believe in God. It is a gradual process. It's something that you do have to fight with, because even whenever you stop believing, in whatever particular God that you had believed in previously, it's not like you just shake off that feeling that there is a greater power. You like, your immediate impulse is to say, okay, this is wrong, but maybe something else is right. Let me look into some other things. At least that's how it was with me, and then I would look into other religions and I would find similar issues with them that I had with Christianity. And, at some point, I guess I kind of just got up and was like, hey, if these all have the same problems, and I wasn't going to believe in Christianity because of these same problems, and why would I believe in any of this? Maybe there's just not a religion. And, obviously, since then, over the years, my opinion has changed, and I found myself in a very different situation than I used to be in. But I think that a lot of people don't give credit to just how arduous the process is from actually going from being a believer to a non-believer,
Yeah, I hear what you mean. Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, that's it. I mean, that's really just what I wanted to illuminate here. I mean, you can talk now, G-Man, Von Helton, whatever you want to say.
Okay,
it's all
all
good.
right, yeah. So,
The atheist takeover is over.
Well, here's the thing, commitment. Tell me something. What helped you maintain yourself as being an atheist?
Maintain myself? Wait, what do you mean by that? Like,
how do you remain an atheist? Like, with all of the information that we have today on God, different religions, the history of atheism.
Honestly, that's like the only answer I can give. It just doesn't convince me.
It doesn't convince you. Like, what do you mean by that?
What do you mean by that?
Like with answered prayer, that doesn't convince me. I heard like
I'm not convinced of evolution, but you're going to tell me that evolution is still true.
I mean, hey,
care if you believe in evolution.
Yeah. So, in order to defeat an argument, you have to be able to show the flaws of the argument and to show why it doesn't work. I didn't ask you to come here to tell me.
No, in order to accept an argument, you need to be convinced.
Which you didn't do.
You don't have to defeat every other argument.
Basically,
can he defeat Buddhism? Can he defeat
Islam? That one about you already knowing that God exists, but we're not going with that. That's presuppositionalism. I'm not going to do that.
You can't.
I'm sticking with evidentialism, so let's just do that. Show me why the argument is not logical and why it doesn't work.
Because it's just, like I said, it's just your firsthand account, just your eyewitness testimony, which again,
it's a good start.
Evidence, and if this argument's supposed to be some sort of like convincing argument, it's fairly weak.
No, it's not an argument that's supposed to be convincing. It's supposed to be an argument that presents evidence, and you already admitted that it was evidence. You said it was weak evidence, but it was evidence nonetheless.
Yeah, eyewitness testimony is not weak evidence in a court of law.
It's the weakest evidence.
As a matter of fact, the only way you can defeat eyewitness testimony is to prove that the person who saw what they saw is lying.
Oh my gosh, that's so not true.
And that's something that they always omit when they try to argue that eyewitness testimony is weak.
People don't have to be lying to be wrong.
I wish atheists would sit down and think about that for a moment, because when you begin to think about that, it's like, wow, I've been saying this my whole life. This has to affect how I look at eyewitness testimony now. But unfortunately, with a lot of them is this, and they don't want to hear it.
If we could talk to the 500, that might be different.
Just being in the room with S.J. Thomas, because me and S.J. was talking about eyewitness testimony. I don't know, just out of nowhere. Like, that's not how eyewitness testimony works. If they're going to refute eyewitness testimony, they got to attack the credibility of the people.
No,
that's what they would do in court.
No, you do not.
And say, listen, was it dark? How do you remember this?
Didn't he ever watch My Cousin Vinny?
Saying that, well, it would be impossible for so-and-so to believe.
How many layers of glasses you gone through, honey?
Circumstances.
Think you need a thicker set.
Possibly saw the person's face. They'll do an example in the courtroom by cutting the
lights
off,
about that 5 minutes?
what the person was wearing, and if you don't remember, it'll destroy their testimony. But they don't even do that. They just say that it's weakest form of evidence, therefore we ain't going to use it. It doesn't work that way. You got to be able to show
the brain fills in details.
Who said they saw this thing, credibility is wrong in order to be able to show that eyewitness testimony is weak and you can't use it.
Well, at the end of the day, I can't refute.
Are you sure about those 5 minutes?
Account. I can't. You were there. I wasn't there. How can I refute that?
I'm all done with this guy.
But you still believe that kind of testimony, though. Now, don't get me wrong. I get what you're saying, because at that particular point, I get what you're saying. All right? Because at some point, this has to be a personal thing when you come to the conclusion that whoever you're talking to about their particular God or whatever is actually real or not. Keeping it real here, okay? But you got to keep that same energy when it comes to evolution now. Using that as an example. How many times have you guys told us that a scientist said they looked in the lab and they did this and you should believe it? But you wasn't there. How do you know
evolution could be wrong? It wouldn't make God any more right.
Lying to you? How do you know that they're not making this stuff up in order to keep their grant money or to keep their credibility or to end up not looking like a fool on a biological topic?
It doesn't matter to me.
So keep that same energy. You should be skeptical of certain things when it comes to evolution as well, too.
Doesn't matter.
You seem always come back to evolution, even in topics that aren't even talking about it.
Evolution has nothing to do with whether or not God exists.
What I'm talking about here.
Nothing.
So let's try this again. What I'm saying is that the energy that you're using when you're saying that you can't refute my own personal testimonies because you wasn't there. You understand it? Like you wasn't there. I agree with you. I understood and identified it from your perspective. Then I said, keep that same energy when we're talking about evolution then. You now have to be skeptical of evolution because you just wasn't there to see what these scientists saw or what they claim that they saw in the fossil record or whatever. You wasn't there. So if you're going to be skeptical about whether or not God exists, you got to be skeptical about whether or not evolution is true.
Yeah, but they had something to actually show for it, unlike your answered prayer argument where you just had a journal and nothing.
Did the laws of physics cease to exist on your stovetop that morning?
You know, just what they're doing, and you're just saying
different in your kitchen than the rest of the grid-eating community.
I have 2 videos on my YouTube channel giving examples of God answering my prayers. As a matter of fact, Evangelist Ken is on my YouTube channel too, going through a very personal thing that happened in his life, where no one knew what he needed. No one knew, it's like the circumstance was impossible. And the person knocked on his door one day and said, God told me to give this to you. And it was exactly what he needed.
Oh, no, not that story again.
You understand what I'm saying? You cannot just discount those things and say that those things are, shouldn't be considered as evidence or whatever. You can't do that.
You can
There's
do that.
no way for an atheist to actually substantiate that, though. I mean, there's no way for them to actually disprove it, but at the same time, there's no way for them to substantiate that God was the cause.
Ella dropped out,
and that's the whole issue here, Gman.
I think Ella said a word.
To be convincing to them.
If it's true, then if that's true, then they have to have that same energy for evolution. Because no one's ever given any
disprove evolution today doesn't get you any step closer to God,
or related to a tree, or related to a frog or a cat, or anything.
You're related to trees and frogs and cats.
But they believe it. Now I want to show everybody this banner that I had up that I read. It's looking like I'm gonna have to read this every time I do a show now. Okay, here's author Keith. He said this. This is an atheist. He says evolution is unproved and unprovable. We believe it only because the only alternative is special creation. And that is unthinkable.
Well, you know what? That guy was wrong. That's not the only 2 alternatives.
And that's why they choose to believe in the absurd things that they believe about evolution, even though they can't scientifically prove it. You've got to keep that same energy. Vaughn, wake up. Vaughn's like, this is boring. Don't worry, Vaughn. I'll wrap this show up soon. Because the other atheists ain't going to want to come here.
Nobody wants to go there.
This is the boring version of Gman versus the universe. Apparently, the universe don't want today. No, it's all right.
Well, I mean, arguably speaking, Gman, again, we're talking about whether or not any of us would specifically believe the evidence we're given. It's a subjective standard. Like, for example, evolutionists may show you the fossils of horses, for example, or whales. These are 2 species which we have in-depth fossil records of showing their evolutionary line. Now, you may say that evidence, that doesn't convince you. It's just bones. How do I know that any of these creatures shown isn't just an individual species of itself and didn't actually evolve from or into anything?
No, Ella's back.
But on the other side of that argument, whenever you bring up answered prayer, the only possible thing that I guess you could show as evidence is this prayer journal you're talking.
Come on, Ella, unchanging God.
It is only thus far hypothetical. So I mean, as far as
it's not hypothetical, it's not hypothetical. This argument was made about 8 years ago by my friend Evangelist Ken. There are videos on my channel with me actually giving real-time examples of the argument. And can give an argument on this, not just for me, but also for you too. It is not whatchamacallit, because we have intercessory prayer too. I can't just pray for myself only. I pray. We're commanded in the scripture to pray for other people too.
Intercessory prayer.
We can use the same prayer.
Fails miserably.
Write down the date that we made the prayer and when the prayer was actually answered. It is not that way. And if you know anything about Christianity, and if you were truly brought up in the church, the way so many people
I was just playing piano in the church Sunday last week.
You might know how many different testimonies are out
there.
The
pastor had to say, unfortunately, someone had died.
Who go out there and say so and so pray
despite
for
their prayers, and we should pray for his family.
But
so in order to
that's how well intercessory prayer works.
In order to refute the argument, you got to show why it's not logically sound. What I'm saying is actually not right. In order to do that, I'm sorry, you say that you're into the mystic arts and you're into the paganism, you'll be refuting yourself too. I promise you will. But show me why I'm wrong. And then I'll look at paganism and show you why you're
okay. Let me jump in here because
let Ella
in
talk.
Paganism we have what's called grimoires, and grimoires is where we write down spells, where we write down offerings to the gods, and also where we write down answered prayers. Wow, what a shock! The very thing you're talking about. Okay. But we in paganism call them grimoires, okay? But it's essentially a prayer journal. It's something that where we put our most personal things down in regards to spirituality, and everybody's grimoire is different from everybody else's.
Here it's a textbook of magic.
They tend to be very, very powerful books because you pour your entire energy into that book, and so they're very powerful books. But we have the same thing, Gman. We call them grimoires.
The only contents found in a grimoire will be information on spells, rituals, preparation of magic tools, and a list of ingredients and their magical correspondence.
How you doing? What's on your mind?
Didn't say anything about prayers.
I just had a question for you, Gman. I don't really follow a lot of your stuff. I hear you talk about religion a lot and Christianity, and we're all atheists, or anyone who doesn't agree with you is an atheist. I just wanted to know, how could you call yourself a Christian and then tell a woman that she should be gang raped?
When did I say that?
When did that happen?
When did that happen?
You don't remember that?
No.
Well, I mean,
like doing lives with this.
Oh, you don't remember saying
the video.
You don't remember
wait a
saying
minute.
that?
Hold on a minute. Context is important. What video are you talking about?
Right.
I'm talking about Mrs. Parker, who didn't give a fuck that you said it to her, but it bothers me that you said it to her. So how
can you tell me? Can you tell me without being overly emotional?
I'm just wondering how that's.
I'm trying to get down to the bottom. I'm trying to get down to why it was said. Can you give me what was actually said prior to that?
Yeah, I can. I don't know what was said prior to that. I know what came out of your mouth, and
so you don't have any context.
All gang raping a woman.
There's a context where it's okay.
A woman came out of your mouth.
So you don't have anything in context then?
There's a context where it's okay to say she should be.
What is the name of the video?
Really?
Conversation. I'm gonna say yes, but what's the context?
What's the context?
I'm gonna say yes. What's the context?
Why would you need context for that? Why would?
Wait a minute.
Wow.
In a court of law, when you're judging somebody, that's going to determine the judgment that's going to happen to the person. You have to find out whether or not it was
she was asking for it.
Analogy.
Gotcha.
Whether or not it was a joke or whatever. If you're asking me that whether or not context is important, then you're saying that it was a straw man situation you're doing right now.
I'm just letting you know.
Well, that's wonderful. Now give us the name of the video.
What you're doing, Ella, is this.
Give us the name of the video. He's denying
You're repeating something that was said, and you're refusing to tell me what was said in context.
Right. Not only that, but you haven't given us the name of the video.
Courtroom, and the judge heard you say that. Hold on a minute. If I go in a courtroom and the judge heard you say that, I'm like, Your Honor, I probably did say it. But what was it? But what was the context?
No, you didn't probably.
The judge is going to want to know what the context is.
So what's the name of the video?
Oh, good God. Shut up, Vaughn.
I can easily find it for you.
Go find it.
Find the video.
I want to hear it. I want to hear it. Okay. I've known this man for years. Well, he's actually over here.
Yeah, he knows
I've known this man for years.
I'm pretty sure
I can't see him saying something like that. But I will say this. My haters have laughed over my ex-wife getting raped on a Greyhound bus.
Oh, for crying out loud, Vaughn. It's all about you.
My haters laughed when my wife almost died on an operating table because her cervix ripped it. My haters have laughed when my marriage was destroyed. My haters laughed.
I didn't
when
laugh.
My
I
kids
cheered
were
for
put out
her.
in the middle of a COVID-infected town. My haters laughed at that, but I
Don't
don't
you,
remember this man.
Even Gman can't take the all
She has
the
a
whole
burden
time.
on her. She has to be able to show the video, and she has to be able to show the timestamp. I'm not going to argue and say I didn't say it, because if I did, it was more than likely using an analogy, and she doesn't want to talk about that.
Okay,
Well, I'm about
to pull up to my house because I'm driving. I will show you the exact video that it was said on.
Yeah, sure.
I would like to give myself.
Got it.
That'd be great. I'm pretty sure we're using an analogy.
I'm not coming at you
sure.
to fight with you. I just don't understand Christianity this, Christianity that. But how
are you an atheist?
Like that?
Are you an atheist?
What?
Are you an atheist?
No, I'm not an atheist.
Are you a Christian?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, and how long have you been a Christian?
Oh boy, here he goes.
How long have you been a Christian?
I was raised a Christian. Raised.
Oh, okay, cool.
So, did you hear what I said?
Okay, so for once, I'm just gonna accept what you're saying, but I want to see this in context, because now that you're telling me you're a Christian, I go, well, you're accountable.
I want to see the
video. I'm not supposed to be making stuff up about people, so
I would like
for you to show me where it was said in the context in which it was said.
Okay, I'll find it for you. Listen, I can have a very civil conversation with anyone, but I'll find it.
Outstanding. I want to see it myself.
Parker came on my YouTube channel. I was responding to some comments that she made about another individual here on YouTube. So again, I would like to get that in context.
Yeah, I want to see the video myself.
Right? Because I'm a man. I'll tell you straight up. I said it. But first, I need to hear it in context. I need to hear what you're talking about.
Okay, got you.
So, yeah. Great.
Please be safe while driving, man. Oh, please be safe.
I'm pulling into my driveway.
And by the way, morality is now for those people who are watching this. But the people that are watching this, is morality objective or subjective? Objective morality says that something is wrong all the time. Subjective morality says that there is nothing intrinsically right or wrong. Please remember that when you're going around saying that somebody's a horrible person or whatever.
Nobody said anything about being a horrible person.
But you've also said inappropriate things to women before. I've heard you. I
told women to get in the kitchen and go cook food. I definitely said that.
Completely.
I told women to go cook.
If you look this way, hit me up. You don't.
So it's evil to say that women should be barefoot and
Wait, hold on. What did I say to you?
Is that evil?
Oh, you
wait a minute, Ella. What did I say to you?
To get your number? You didn't say that.
Wait a minute. Hold on a minute. So you're telling me you're a Christian, and now you're telling me that it's wrong for me to say, Jules, look this way. If you come this way, look me up. You're telling me that's bad to do? Are you serious?
The way that you said it was disrespectful as fuck.
Can you please show me that in context too?
Considering at the time he was saying Jules was 16, yeah, it says wrong.
You're the first woman I've met on planet Earth that's ever told me that you're offended by me asking for a man asking for a woman.
46 years old, dude.
I'm not offended that you asked for her.
Of course, it's wrong.
I'm offended by the way that you speak to women.
Oh, tell me something. So let me ask you something. How are men supposed to talk to women? I have my Bible here. Give me a chapter and verse, please.
With respect, Gman.
Can you show me that? Okay, just show me the Bible verse.
Talk about your on and on bullshit. And not with respect. That's why you're alone.
Okay. So wait a minute. Okay. You say you're a Christian. Wait a minute. I'm confused here. You say that you're a Christian. You're telling me that you don't like the way I talk about women, so I wanted to go into the Bible, the Word of God, and you can show me this is what I appeal to. You got to show me in the Bible how I'm supposed to talk to women. Jesus referred to a woman as a dog. Was he wrong for doing that?
So you need.
Thank you for playing, man. I agree. But let's get me that video in context.
Hold on. Let me connect.
And then the woman changed his mind, and he healed her child.
Respect,
and said, "Go on your way."
You're a Christian, and then you say you don't give a what about my ups and downs, and I have a Bible.
He's talking about the Samaritan woman.
Serious? We've been a Christian for like
he called her a dog and said, "Master, don't even the dogs eat the scraps at their master's table."
I'm dead serious.
And Jesus went, Good point.
Growing up in a
Your child was healed going
You're
to
a serious believer, then you have Bible verse.
Christian.
Yeah,
I got quite a
that's
few
where
verses
Jesus
that's
called a
gonna
woman a
offend you
dog.
about how men talk to women. Quite a
At least
few
that's the
of
only
them, 'cause I'm
example
not
I
a
can
feminist.
think of.
You
You
speak
know,
to
learning about me
women
real
is,
fast.
I think the way that you speak to women is gross, and I think that
Are you a feminist?
you claim.
Are you a feminist?
Yeah, yeah.
And there's some
Absolutely.
argument about the
Get on your
translation
hands
of
and knees
dog
and
there
worship.
anyway, but
Absolutely.
Because that's idolatry. I'm sorry. I'm never going to do that.
Christian is.
Yeah.
Man, you're going in and out. I don't know if it's your connection or what, but you're going
She's
in.
going from the vehicle to the house, and so there is going to be.
She should just call me.
She's not telling you to like worship the woman. She's just asking you to talk to her like a
I know
decent
talk to
human
women
being.
with respect, but tell me this, because this is the first time
Yeah,
I've been on this
good
planet
point, David.
for
You're right.
over 40 years, and this is my first time ever
he was
hearing
referring.
somebody say, if you ask somebody
Maybe
for their
no,
phone
she was a
number,
Samaritan,
that's
so probably to the
disrespectful.
Well,
Samaritan.
Jules is a troll anyway. So I'd say
We're
G-Man
half
was
Armenian,
probably
half
being
Jewish, so-
facetious anyway. Jules is a big time troll on YouTube. So I'd say G-Man was probably being tongue in cheek anyway.
Can somebody give me a Bible verse? Hey, Jesus is Lord. I know you're watching Jesus is Lord. Can you show me in the scripture where it says if you ask for a girl's phone number, that's sin?
Oh, for
Can you
crying
show me
out
that?
loud.
That's
She's more
new.
referring to the way that you approach it.
serious?
Kind of like come out as a creep when you do it sometimes.
As a creep.
Does G-Man approach
You know
every
what?
issue like that? What does the
You know what
Bible say
I think is
about it?
creepy?
About phone
When
numbers?
women come on my YouTube
Really?
channel and come on here for clout chasing and pretending that they actually care about people.
Chasing, right?
Yeah, so you know what I mean? Like, you don't want to play that game with me.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah,
So,
buddy, they do. They come on for clout chasing. Sure, they do.
like, Burnt Toast came on my YouTube. It was a Burnt Toast? Yeah, Burnt Toast came on my YouTube channel. I was like,
How about this, G-Man? The greatest commandment, love your God with all your heart and soul. And the second one's just,
Oh yeah,
it's the
didn't you
same,
say
love your
you
neighbor
thought
as
she
you
was
would love
16
yourself.
and that you want her to touch
All the
your
rest are
food?
derived from these.
Burnt Toast. Oh, okay. All
Is
right.
it loving your neighbor to say you should be
Another
angry?
big time
I don't
troll
think
on
it is.
YouTube.
Yeah.
Another big time troll on YouTube.
So
And then
anyway, Ella,
another stream
I'm
that you
sorry
want.
that you're offended by that me asking for a phone number or whatever. I apologize about you being offended by that. I would strongly recommend you read the
He apologizes for her being
And
offended.
as far as me talking to somebody else on YouTube or whatever, the rape thing, I'm sorry. I need to get that in context or whatever.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on that link.
Or I use that as an analogy.
Still waiting on that link.
And timestamp.
Was
Yeah,
it recent, Ella? Was it like in his recent live stream when he was talking to her? Was that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, was it on
What?
GTV?
Oh, wait.
Or like G-Man?
Y'all ask me for a link all the time, so I want a link back.
Pretty sure it was on the G-Man channel, not GTV.
Maybe I can circle back too.
It was the N-word stream
I mean, obviously,
where he's
people
going to
are
have a ton
get
of black
offended by
people,
the
right?
things that I said because
That didn't show
I
up.
think people tend to get my opener here because I'm very offended by what atheists say to me all the time. Like, for example, I don't think people remember things like this. I don't know.
Oh, for crying out loud. I'll be right back. I don't want to watch this again. But I will say, while he's playing this drivel, thank you all for coming here instead of to his stream where we can freely chat. Nobody's blocked. We can make fun of how stupid Vaughn is, and just basically not give him any engagement other than mine. Jesus, you're a looser. Oh, it's horrible. Fine arts.
Mock her, ridicule them.
This is very old.
In public. Don't fall for the convention that we're all too polite to talk about religion. Religion is not off the table. Religion is not off limits. Religion makes specific claims about the universe which need to be substantiated and need to be challenged and, if necessary, need to be ridiculed with contempt.
Not much, Lubis. Right now, Ella is looking for the evidence that he said Miss Parker should be gang raped, and she's going to present that evidence to Gman, and he's going to justify it in some biblical way. That's what we're waiting for. I don't really care what Lennon said. I don't care what Lunacharsky said. Oh, not this again. Ugh.
So before you start talking to me about what you're offended about, just try to remember what you just got finished saying. Okay?
Exactly. How are any of us responsible for any of that?
Atheism has slaughtered more people on earth than any religion, any two religions.
Not even close.
See, that comes off as deflection because she's criticizing your behavior, and you go, "Oh, look at this."
No, my behavior.
You call it deflection all you want. It's still the truth.
Criticized through the lens of Scripture, not through a person or persons or a group of persons who believes that there's no such thing as absolute right or wrong. The moment you tell me that there's no such thing, you believe that there's no absolute right or wrong, you lose the ability to tell me.
Gentleman Pioneer wants in.
Because your subjective opinion is going to tell you that I'm wrong, and my subjective opinion is going to tell me I'm right. I didn't break any laws, so guess what? You ain't right, and I am.
Got a quick question for Vaughn here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Pertaining to that example.
Yeah.
Well, that video G-Man just showed,
right?
It would lead one to believe that he is insinuating that we should hold all atheists responsible for the actions of those regimes.
He didn't do shit. Lenin did. Those were Lenin's quotes.
Oh yeah, no, I got
those were Lenin's direct quotes.
Right, but
G-Man
he puts the
had
video.
Nothing to do with it.
No, G-Man didn't have
nothing to do with it. That's right.
Hold on, man.
Hold on. Shut up for a second.
Just chill out
for
for a
direct quotes from Vladimir Lenin, who was head of the communist movement in Russia at the time.
Okay, Vaughn. So, but what's being insinuated here is that all atheists should be held responsible.
Yeah, they should.
Yes,
they should.
Yes,
yes.
They devil. They made a conscious decision to choose that ideology.
All right. Well, hold on, Vaughn.
Hey, if I became a Luciferian Satanist, would not people be repulsed by me because what Luciferian Satanists have done in the past to humanity? Of course they would.
You're not
responsible
for.
So.
Do you hold G-Man responsible for the witches that have been burned at the stake?
G-Man responsible for the Crusades?
I made a conscious decision to choose that path, knowing full well that Luciferian Satanists have killed people, have tortured people, have killed animals, have really scared the poop out of people. I'm trying to be nice about it, but I chose that path knowing that what that was all about, dude. Okay, so no, I'm sorry. It's not like I got this blindfold on and I don't know what's going on. No, I know exactly what's going on.
Okay,
I'm an adult. I'm an adult. I know what's going on. And we have this wonderful thing, Devil, called the internet. You might have heard of it, where you can actually go on there and get all the information you need about atheism at the touch of a button. Okay,
man,
so
Vaughn,
who has an excuse?
I don't want to be a Christian now because I'd be responsible for the Crusades.
Well, get your
and
point,
the Inquisition.
I mean,
do you hold G-Man personally responsible for all the witches that have been burned at the stake by Christians in the past? In the same way, what's the difference then?
Hold on, that's a different. That's a different thing. That's
that's man. I'm gonna tell you why, because you're ignoring the fact that Richard Dawkins got on here and said, "Mock them, ridiculed them, and public.
Right.
And then you're also ignoring the
That's
fact
not a straw man.
that
So?
atheists, yes, it is. It is a straw man because he's misrepresenting everything that I showed in the video. He's cherry picking and only picking specific things that's going on there. All right, in the video that I showed. The fact of the matter is,
that's not what we're doing at all, man.
Every single day, atheists are on YouTube mocking God,
let's steel
mocking
man your
Christians,
argument,
and
G-Man.
performing hate rituals.
If you choose to be part of a
form
group,
making
you're responsible
videos,
for
leaving
anything
comments,
anyone in that
going out
group's
there
ever
and
done.
voting
or
for
said.
our utter death and destruction here in the United States.
Right.
So ain't nobody
Sure you wanna be a
stupid. I
Christian?
know full well who and what I'm talking to, and I'm going to act as if regarding that. And if you know any better, Jersey Devil, you're religious to a certain degree or whatever. If you want to have your religious freedoms, you better open up your mouth and say something, because if they have their
because atheists are going to take your religious freedom away too, Devil. They want to take your religious freedom away.
We should put
too,
up a lot of quotes from the
not just mine,
early
not just
Americas
you,
of
they
pastors
want to take
justifying
everybody's
slavery
religious freedom.
using the
If
Bible.
they are successful in infiltrating our government and implementing just half of what I've seen them say personally, they would turn this into a communist state tomorrow.
No, Vaughn.
And you would lose.
No,
You would
really
lose.
don't.
You would lose.
They're
You
going
would
to keep
lose.
lying and saying they're not working toward it. Oh, yes, they are.
Oh, yes, they are working towards it. Yes,
Sure,
they
there's
are.
certain people doing that, but I'm not doing that. I don't understand where you're trying to get at.
Well, are you going to speak out against it? No. Hell no, you ain't. And
I
don't lie.
certainly
You
will.
would.
You want me to
No, you
speak
will
up
not.
against
No, you will
Lenin?
not. Quit lying. Quit
Oh,
lying.
thank you for telling me what I'm going to do, Vaughn.
No,
Thank you.
dude.
You definitely know
I
my
just
mind.
saw it from Nancy Pelosi. Did you speak out against it? No. So
I
shut your
certainly
pie
spoke
hole.
out when people
I
were
know better.
invading
Stay out
the
here
Capitol.
talking about it right now.
What am I supposed to say against
Words.
Nancy
I don't wanna
Pelosi?
hear
I
it.
didn't get the memo.
Ella, do you have
Oh,
your
here.
evidence?
Because you know where I speak, do you?
I know better.
Ella, do you have your
I
evidence?
got it.
in your
By the way,
timestamp?
Nancy
I've
Pelosi's
had
a
to deal with
Christian.
atheists over on about.com. I know exactly what the plans are because I went over there and read them verbatim. They want to infiltrate the government. They want to institute a secular America. Their words, not mine. Well, what is that? That's communism. There is no God in a secular society, and you know it. So quit straw manning us, okay? Because you're straw manning us at this point.
What was the straw man?
I'm not going to debate you.
All right, gentleman pioneer, you in?
Hey, how you doing, G-Man?
Let's see.
Bless you, brother. How you feeling?
I'm all right. How's everything going with you?
Everything's going good. We need a link. We need to give you information because last time I didn't give you out the information. I was in a hurry. Definitely need to link up and give you my information.
All right, cool. You can do that. You can do it in the private chat, or you can do it. I'll give you my email address if you want. You can email it to me if you want.
Yeah, well, just give me an email because I got more information for you as you asked me for before. All right.
All right.
I've been
GTV,
definitely looking into the issue.
It's GTV3 at gmail.com. GTV3.
Nancy Pelosi is a devoted Catholic and
type it up in the
prays
private
for the
chat
president
so you
all
can
the
Type it in
time.
the chat and I can get it.
All right, I'll put it in there right now.
Type it in the
I'll put it in the comment section too. Hold on. As a matter of fact, you know what I'll do? I'll brand it and I'll put it on. I'll banner it so everybody can see it. How about that?
G-Man, did you take the video down, sweetheart?
What video?
The video that you're asking me for.
Are you talking about the video with Miss Parker? I can check if you want. Let me check.
The one that you asked me for context.
Well, let me check. I don't know if I did, so let me check. Hold on.
Yeah, double check because it was
one of my videos got form on.
It was on your screen. So
one of my
It's on
videos
G-Man's
got
main
you should
channel.
have the context, shouldn't you?
Miss Parker made a very nasty video about me, so.
Well,
I don't get what Miss Parker's
I
doing
don't
personally.
have- I don't
But let me
know
see.
about
Let me see something here.
coming for you. I don't have any.
No, it's still there. The N-word, beware of the clout chasers who do not.
But you see what I'm saying, though.
No,
If
it's on the
she's-
G-Man channel.
Obviously, she has
It's called
a
the
history.
N-word.
Ellen. She has a history of trolling.
It's an hour and
harassing
36
others.
minutes.
That's my point.
Okay.
I'm not sure what video it would be. Is it the atheists and agnostics are not qualified to judge?
Is it the one you have like late at night?
What was the name of it, Ellen? That we need the name.
I'm pretty sure it was on the N-word.
I'm trying to figure it out.
On the G-Man
Mrs.
channel.
Parker's trying to figure it out.
All right. I'm pretty sure somebody
She's
downloaded
the
it.
one that
It's
it
probably
was sent to.
somebody else's channel. I'm pretty sure they download everything else I'm doing.
By the way, I don't know if
Well,
your point was to scare her or to hurt her.
Ms.
whatever.
Parker, if you're still in
No,
there,
that wasn't my
I'm
point.
sure
My
you
point
remember.
was, I was angry.
Was it during
I was
your
angry
actual
that she was
chat with
laughing
him and Reverend Channing?
at something that happened. I was angry because she was laughing at something that happened to Shannon Christ. She thought it was funny.
Okay, Ellen.
Okay, well, just so you know,
Now, hold on a minute, Vaughn. Hold on a
I
minute.
have no issue
Ella,
with
Ella,
Shannon.
Ella,
I have
Ella,
no issue with Shannon.
Ella. She was making light of something that happened to Shanny, and I got mad and I confronted her about it.
Okay.
Okay?
That's
So I know
you're
if I
right.
use that kind of language,
That's
if I use
exactly
that kind of
what it was.
language, ma'am, if I
You're
use
right.
that kind of
That is
language,
what it was. She did make a comment. It was a rape conversation, and Shani was involved. And that you're right. That's
great. Yeah, but my
extremely
whole
bizarre.
point is that it was used as an analogy. You said you got offended by it, and then you're trying to say I'm a horrible person because they use it as an analogy or whatever. When you actually find the video, make a video, and I'll make a video response to it. How about that?
How about the fact that you sit there and talk about Christianity and you down people who don't believe the same things as you, and those
You
words
just
came
cut
out of
me
your
out
mouth?
about 10 minutes ago and
I
claimed
don't
to be
have
a
any
Christian.
issue with Shani, so I wouldn't.
You just cussed me out about 10 or 15 minutes ago, and you're asking me about my Christianity? Are you serious?
She didn't cuss him out.
Yeah, I'm serious. Do I sound
You
serious?
cussed me out using words that you're not supposed to use against me.
Like what? What am I
On
not
this
supposed to
channel,
use?
you cussed me out. You literally cussed me
All
out.
she said was
about 15 minutes
Mrs. Parker
ago.
doesn't give a fuck.
And I held the Bible up,
That's
and
all
then
she
you
said.
You don't want to hear my ups and my downs. I had a Bible in my hand. When I was asking for a Bible,
Congrats! I have a Bible in my hand too. You want to
Hey,
see?
hey, this is in your Bible. This is out of your Bible. It says, "Let no filthy communication come out of your mouth." That's what it says.
So how about this? How about you first repent, get that over with, and then we'll have a discussion about me. How about that?
I didn't hear it. Repeat what you just said. I'm sorry.
Why don't you repent of that cussing me out thing?
Actually, it says corrupt communication, not filthy.
About how I talked to Miss Parker. When
basically saying don't lie.
Okay, so we'll talk about how
That's
you spoke to
corrupt
Miss Parker,
communication.
how you spoke to Jules, and how you spoke
Yeah,
to
but
Miss
it
Powell.
doesn't say filthy.
We're not
It has nothing to do with
talking
cuss
about
words. It
Miss
has to do with
Parker, and then
integrity.
that's it. And then you're going to have to be able to show me in the Bible why what I did was wrong. Good luck with that Bible.
G-Man,
So
G-Man,
are
can I
you
say
putting,
something,
are you
G-Man?
setting rules
I'll
on
try
me,
that.
G-Man?
Love your neighbor as yourself.
The email address is on the screen right now.
I don't do
G-Man,
what you
can I
tell
say
me to
something?
do. I don't do what you tell me to do. I called you out because you said.
Oh, okay, Eli. Okay, Ella. I appreciate that. Okay.
No
You
context.
say what you have to say.
Yeah,
Great. Okay,
she's
so
gone.
what were you saying, gentlemen? What were you saying?
No,
again?
I want to ask Miss
I knew he was
question.
going to delete her at
She
that point.
has some positive points that she's making, but how do you feel about the way Miss Parker is coming at G-Man?
Or anybody else for that matter, like me.
Yeah, how you feel about that, Ella? That's a good question.
I haven't seen what Mrs.
Man,
Parker
but how do you
said
feel about her response
and I
back?
haven't seen what Mrs. Parker said about other people.
That's a lie,
I
ma'am.
wasn't there for
Ma'am,
that,
that's a lie, ma'am. Because if you heard what I said on my YouTube channel, then you heard what she said to me, and you heard what she said to other people on here. Stop lying to me now. Just stop it.
Okay, but Mrs. Parker doesn't claim to be a Christian, and then tell people
Okay,
that
but
they are
does that
wrong.
make it right?
But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about her behavior and you ignoring it and only wanting to talk to me. Jesus himself said to get that telephone pole out of your eye before you talk about the soul dust.
Come on, community. Let's get together and find that
come
clip.
here claiming to be a Christian, I'd appreciate it if you actually put your Christianity into practice and not be a hypocrite when you're judging people.
I'm the hypocrite.
Anyway, man, thank you. Another person pretends to be a Christian and comes in here. Why? Because they hate Christianity. Thank you, Miss Ella. I greatly appreciate you coming here and talking to me. So we got two other people in the background. I saw Monty in the background, but I'm not bringing him in here. Anybody with these ridiculous names in the background, you're not coming in here. You got to cut your camera on. I got to see who you are, or you're not coming in here. Sorry. All right. That's just how it's going to be from now on. Get some respectful names, show your face, and then I'll bring you in here. All right. You having okay, obviously this is a troll right here, so let me get rid of him. Sir, a transformer is not going to get you in here. You got to show me your face. I'm the only person that can see you. The middle finger isn't going to work either. You got to show me your face.
No, definitely not.
Matter of fact, that's going to get you kicked out of here. Come here with another. So, no, the irate Alex is not going to work because that's not who you are. Irate Alex would have cut his camera on by now. You're not irate Alex.
Yeah.
Nice try. So now somebody is pretending to be him. Identity theft is, not identity theft, but pretending to be somebody else is not legal, I don't think. So I don't think
it's not
no,
legal.
Actually, it isn't. That is
using someone's name as your avatar is not legal now. Come on.
What else?
Yep.
And there's a few laws that
I'll-
breaks, yeah.
I'll ask this irate Alex a question that only irate Alex will know. How fast is an unladen swallow? What's the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow? Only he would know that.
Everybody knows the answer to that question.
African or
But he's
European?
British, so he would know the answer indefinitely.
Monty, if that you cut your camera on.
African or European?
Monty, I got a couple of rules when I bring you in here. We're not talking about certain individuals. If I even hear the syllable come out your mouth, I'm throwing you out of here. Just letting you know that. You got fair warning. All right? So what's on your mind, Monty? How is the
All right. No, I heard your fair warning. I just heard you talking to one of the ladies of laws, and you completely dodged her. Like, I'm just wondering why you were afraid of that.
Monty, a lot of people think you're a decent person. Why do you hang around trash on YouTube? I'm just curious.
Which trash do I hang around with, G-Man?
You realize that the reason why your show is not growing because you just hang around trash and you're not getting quality people to watch the show?
Our show's not growing? I look at my numbers. Our show is growing every month. I don't know what you're talking about.
Your show will grow better if you got quality people and stop getting trash to support you.
How often? But wait. No. I want to have this conversation with G. Vaughn, I do want to talk to you. I like you, Vaughn. But give me a second. Let me finish this conversation with G-Man. How often?
You're probably a good guy, Monty. You're probably like a real nice guy and whatnot. But honestly, you really need to take out the trash, dude, if you want your channel.
Okay. Let's go there. Let's talk about this. Yeah. So what trash are you talking about, and how often do you watch my incredible show?
Well, actually, I was on your show obviously one time. I thought I was treated.
Yes, you were. It was one of our best episodes of the show, G-Man. You did that.
Whenever you come on my channel, it's very rare to talk about anything serious with you. It's always about what she said or what he said. It's never really about anything important.
Is that what I do?
Word hangout. I did. You wasn't around.
Wait. Whoa. Real quick. Mm-hmm. I wasn't around for the M-word hangout. Go back and check your channel, and you will see me arguing with Shani and Rev about the M-word.
I'm not talking about this channel. I'm talking about what I did on my main channel recently.
Oh, I wasn't there because I don't follow that channel very much.
Because that channel is a channel you should follow.
But no, I also have 2 children and a life to deal with. I jump in here when I have some free time.
G-Man's still a little butthurt about not getting any black people
that
on
your
that
show
panel.
would probably prosper more if you got some quality audience members. Quality ones. Not people that want to talk people all the time. Like, honestly, there comes a time when you can go out there and you can act like a fool or whatever, but sometimes you got to be able to sit down like a man and have an adult conversation. Like, I don't even know if you're capable of doing that. Like, I don't even know if I can sit down and talk to you about the Great Reset and how it's going to affect society or anything like that. I don't know how I can talk to you about anything. All I know is that you have a reputation of coming in here. So-and-so said, she said, and what he said, and he said, and what she said. You have never proven to me that you can have an adult conversation with me.
Okay. I'm going to take what you said, and I'm going to go back and review all my times being here, because I don't think I always come in here with he said and she said. I come in with what Monty thinks about what you're talking about. And the reason I came in here...
talk to women disrespectfully?
Yes, I came in here because you disrespected one of the ladies of laws. And it's a show produced by Sweet Halloween and Collard Greens.
I'm sorry, one of the ladies of who?
Ladies of laws. It's soon to be the greatest show on YouTube. Get ready for that shit.
L-U-Z? L-O-L?
L-U-L-Z, yeah, LOL.
L-O-L-Z.
So you want me to take somebody seriously who's on here to make fun of people all day? No, I'm not.
No, and look, Ella didn't come here to make fun of you. Ella came in to ask you a legitimate question, and you didn't answer.
Oh, yeah, why did I say what I said about...
He did answer.
Did he answer?
No, he didn't. He did not answer.
He owned up to it. He said, I might have said it. He said that right up bat.
But there is
That's
no
not owning up to it.
Parker making fun.
Saying you might have said it isn't owning up to it? What
Shut
is
up,
it?
Vaughn.
Wait. Vaughn, chill out. I want to hear what G-Man's saying. G-Man, start over. I didn't hear you.
Basically, this hypocritical community that's on here loves to talk about...
Uh-oh.
We lost G-Man.
That's not good.
We lost the host.
That's
God
not
damn.
good. That's not
We
good.
lost the host from
His
the man
sister
that
forgot to
said
pay
that
the
I don't know
Wi-Fi
how to
bill.
run a channel.
Quick, Vaughn, take
Oh.
over.
I
Vaughn,
can't.
Vaughn,
I can't.
Vaughn.
I'm not a co-owner with him.
Oh, I think he
Oh
froze.
wow, yeah, he's
He
gone.
froze.
Well,
Gmail
we got
be
5 minutes, dudes. Make it quick.
Gmail
Say
will
what
be
you gotta
back.
say. We got
Vaughn.
5 minutes.
Vaughn, what is up, my nigga? When you coming on a shit show, bruh?
Oh, Monty, that's
You
racist to
don't
say
give me
the
no
N-word.
link, man. You got to give me a link.
Look,
Give me
I'm
a link.
I'm gonna have our producer get in touch with you. We're gonna bring you on a shit show.
Okay.
We're gonna make this happen. Okay.
I think where I live,
March.
Blackout. I'm not sure. I think
That's
where I
good.
live is-
That's good.
Up. G-Man's back. But Zoe will be in touch, Vaughn. Zoe will be in touch.
All you gotta do is give me. I've been sitting here waiting on. You got my email, right?
No, I don't.
You do not have my email.
No. I'll get it. I have your Skype. Drag
Oh, you
sent
have
me
my
your Skype.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'll hit you on
Hit me
Skype.
up on Skype. Yes.
Yes,
I
I'll
don't know
hit you
why
on Skype.
people ain't using Skype anymore.
Well, anyway, guys,
Microsoft fixed it.
Monty, I should have kicked you out. I told you there's certain words in here that can't be used here anymore.
What did I say, G-Man?
Anyway, going back to what I said, I think this.
Okay, let's go.
I think the community is extremely hypocritical because what the community does is that this community likes to look at what one person does, and then they don't look at what that person themselves are doing. Like, for example, they're telling me how I'm talking to Miss Parker. Nobody wants to tell me how Miss Parker is talking about everybody else. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I have never in my entire life allowed that. So if you're gonna tell me that way, you had better be able. You better be the other way too.
Okay, G-Man, can we break that down? What you just said, because you're talking about this community. You do realize
community a hypocrite.
But no, I'm not about to be a hypocrite. I'm about to disprove what you said about me from the start of this show, and then start a conversation based on common ground. Okay. You said that all my show is this community. My show is not this community. We have music producers. We deal with listen, G-Man, hear me.
All right.
We deal with multiple communities. We're all over. Like, we like people everywhere. G-Man, I like you. We deal with everybody. I don't care. I don't care who it is. But I'm all about being true to my feelings. I will challenge you when I think you're wrong. And G-Man, I think you're wrong a lot. So, that being said,
if you think I'm wrong a lot, I like to see you prove it.
No, that's not how adult conversations work. We discuss when I think you're wrong, and we walk away feeling how we feel at the end of that conversation. That's what adults do, G-Man. The world is not WWE, bruh.
No, I don't think anybody said it was. Lost him again.
No, Vaughn. Real quick.
Yes.
I'm gonna come to you with this, Vaughn, because you're more of a voice of reason to G than I am. You don't believe that, and I believe that about you. I don't care what your trolls say. I never come at you with the troll shit, do I, Vaughn? Have I ever?
No, I gotta say, man, you've been straight up with me. I gotta say,
I never come at you with what they say. I see all the shit, but here's the thing. I feel like G-Man's my brother. I love him. I feel like G-Man approaches these conversations like he's Triple H and I'm The Rock, and he's waiting to hit me with that sledgehammer. I'm like, no, bro, that's not how adults communicate.
Okay, so I don't know what's going on.
Look,
but I need to start background people because I might have a hacker.
Yeah.
So
and Vaughn, I would sit with you and talk about paganism, and get to a point where I'm like, I don't agree with a goddamn thing you just said, Vaughn.
Oh,
but I can end in a place.
There's no cussing on my YouTube channel, man.
Unless you're Shanny.
You can't allow that, Monty. You gotta learn the hard way, dude. No cussing on here. No cussing, especially that at all, dude. No, not giving you a second chance on that at all. No cussing.
Yeah,
none. Nada.
We all know why he got rid of Monty.
Right?
Aww.
We all know what that was about.
You can't come on here and talk like that. You guys gotta learn some self-control. So, guys, I'm gonna wrap this show up. I think the point has been made that as far as like evidence for God, The answer prayer argument is not going to get defeated anytime soon by atheists. I think that commitment said that it is evident, but it's not convincing him whether or not God exists or not. This is not a convincing contest. This is a contest about whether or not evidence exists. I already accomplished my goal. Commitment already admitted to it. Jersey
I
Devil.
still ain't got my wrench back.
I can't give you a wrench because somebody's always pretending to be you, and they obviously don't want you to have one. So
I changed my name. I'm light worker now. I'm light worker.
Yeah, they're not supposed to know who you are. You were supposed to create a stock account. You were supposed to get a wrench, and nobody was supposed to know it was you.
Oh, but you never said that part.
That's like that.
Yeah,
I did
yes,
two
he did.
videos on Skype. I told you. So when you do
Light
that,
worker. More like a
What is
hard
this
worker,
I'm
am I
holding?
right?
What I'm holding is one of the two staffs of Baal. All right. This particular
oh,
staff
wow.
is the twisted staff. It is for lightning. The other staff has a big knob on one end, and that is for thunder. It's
Wait,
the
you have
two staffs
lightning?
of Baal.
It's amazing
Yeah,
that
it's
G-Man
lightning.
tolerates
Lightning?
this.
Yeah, it's like
black
Ronin.
magic
It's like,
shit.
it's
You need
like
to take
Ronin
that-
in Mortal Kombat.
Give me some advice on it. That thing that's around your neck and that and that stick. I gotta tell you this, man, because I don't care about you if I don't. You got a fireplace or something like that over here, a garbage can that you can set on fire or whatever. You need to burn all that stuff.
No.
Now,
Man, cut to the bone.
burn your amulet and then go
Wait.
burn your stick of ball.
Why would
Wait a
you
minute,
want to
wait.
burn a staff that produces lightning, man?
Why would
you
I
could
burn
tease
a
people with
staff
that.
that produces lightning? Why would I do that? That would be
You need
stupid.
to burn it.
I'm gonna
and
need
you
some
to burn
Why would
evidence
I
that
burn
produces
something
lightning.
that protects me from demons and evil spirits? Why would I?
Right? It's
You
like,
do know you're
Makes
talking to
no
a
sense.
Christian with our perspective on ball. Ball is a
Yes, the Bible got it wrong. Instead
The Bible
of
got it
they
wrong.
got
Bible
the
got it
name
wrong.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Baal is the god of
Uh-oh.
righteousness and goodness. Mot
Paul is the
one-
god that sent
Mot is
the
the one that is the
sent the
god of the
children.
underworld.
Sent the bears to
No,
eat the
Google
children.
it. Google it, G-Man. They got it wrong. They got the wrong guy.
No.
Baal is
they
the good guy. Mot is the bad guy. Look it
didn't.
up.
Oh my Lord.
should he also
Mot
burn his
is
Not
the
the
bad
grimoires?
Bible,
guy.
he's not.
Should he also like burn his grimoires too, dude? Like, what else do you want him to burn, G-Man?
And Vaughn, you know that they're all demons in G-Man's eyes.
Well,
Okay, so let's do a quick screen share on. Let me just give you a quick reminder, my friend. Hold on.
Dude, they got the wrong name in the Bible.
Love you and everything, Vaughn, but you need to hear this, dude. The
Mot
Bible
is the
identifies
evil
Moloch
one.
in Jeremiah 19:5. It was known to the Israelites as Baal.
You know what's funny is Baal is one of the sons of El.
25:3 and Deuteronomy.
Sound
12.
familiar to anyone? Elohim?
First Samuel. And by the way, they burn babies at the altar to this deity. All right, so.
G-Man, do you really think I would have one of the staffs of Baal if he was a demon? Of course not. I'm not going to have anything to do with demons.
First,
I'm not going to have anything to do with demons and
First,
baby killer.
False God, but you say there's a God.
Baal is not a baby killer. It's Mot. Google
Isn't
it.
Florida God of lightning?
Google
Wait,
it.
what's
It
going
is Mot who is the king of the underworld. It is Mot who is the baby killer. It is Mot who is about destruction and death.
Baal was also the golden calf that they were worshiping after Moses went up
Mount
Mount Sinai. I don't know if you knew that.
Research, G-Man. Research.
One day,
Research. 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 Research, G-Man.
No.
Research, G-Man.
Oh,
Bing.
shout out
Research,
to
G-Man. So
Bonnie Enid.
Wouldn't you want a weapon
Who,
by devils to
gave
beat
me a
devils?
shout out there. He's watching on
wouldn't
my
that be
channel.
No,
Thank
actually
you.
not, because they can turn and use that
Thank you,
weapon.
Enid.
You want something better
Bonnie Enid?
than what the demons have.
Yeah,
Because
well,
if you have something that's just as good as the demons, you're not going to come out ahead anyway.
you can use like the holy power to like
you'd be
enhance
neutral.
it. You know what I mean?
Listen to me, Vaughn. I tell you this out of pure concern, man. Take that stick and that amulet. Burn them.
Never going to happen, Flick. Never going to happen.
Way to a good
It's
order.
not going to happen. In fact, I'm looking for the other staff of Baal as we speak. I will be. It will not be long before I will have it, and then I will have both staffs, and then I will have thunder and lightning.
But do you have a staff that can produce fire?
Well, I mean, if it produces lightning, it can create fire, right?
Oh, you're right.
Ah, nice, carnivorous.
But anyway, guys, the Bible says that Jesus Christ is going to return and judge the entire world, including the atheist community.
That's wrong,
And you
GY.
won't help it if you don't repent. GTV.
I'm not going to repent. GY6.
Well, that was fun. Thanks everybody for coming here and not going to G-Man's channel. Feel free to comment in the comment section. We can discuss what went on here and in Discord. And remember, if someone asks you for a rebuttal to the answered prayer argument, the best answer is unchanging God. If you can make things happen differently than God's plan, then it wasn't that plan in the first place. And if you can't, prayer is irrelevant. Thank you guys. Have a good night. Enjoyed it. See ya.